to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. The return after the final break of the season. 4 races are left on the schedule. 4 drivers are competing closely in points for a championship, but only one can take the crown of our Gen 6 racing series here this season. And coming back after a great run at Texas 2 weeks ago, we've got plenty of racing action to give you here at Homestead. We're proud to give you all the coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me here this evening is Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr. And Zach, we're back after a break. But man, does it still look like the competition is ready to ramp back up to speed, because the 2 fastest drivers are the 2 top drivers in points. And what makes tonight even more fun, they both have to start at the end of the line because they both have EOL penalties.
That is going to be the fun thing for us all to watch for sure, Sam. So, yeah, those 2 are going to start out back. But, man, what a titanic battle it's been between those 2 the last few weeks. And, I mean, we'll get to see if anybody else can put their name in the hat here, because it's going to be getting very much to be crunch time, as it's straight out from here all the way to the end of the season. Is once these guys, it's all the way out. No more off weeks. You got to put everything together now.
We got 4 races left, and the 2 drivers of note being Drew Blaze, winner of our last race at Texas. A total of 3 wins so far this season for himself. In the other driver, Colin Clary, both drivers, multiple wins. Colin's got the most with 4. And he's going to try his best to try to continue on to get back into the winning ways, because Colin's been the dominator at the 1.5 miles. First time missing out on victory at this past Texas race. We'll see if he can rebound here tonight. But he also have a couple of other drivers that are making some rebound and comebacks. That's going to be Mike Fahey making a great return, as well as Jordan Maddox, as well as Paul Olson. It's good to see some of these drivers back, and as well, the primary sponsor of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, that being DadBod.Studios himself, Justin X. Johnson, is back out on track, currently 8th on the board. Excited to see some of these returning names and seeing how they perform here this evening. I know we're starting a little bit later. There was a little bit of an issue with the first session. We got it fixed up. We're about to get to racing action. Before we get to our 175 laps here tonight, let's take a look at how the points have been, how the schedule's been. How do we get to this part of the schedule? Starting things off with the point standings. Top of the board, got to be Drew Blaze after his victory at Texas. 7 points over Colin Clary. Austin Mice going to be 12 points behind Blaze. And then Paul Boomershine, the late surge and show-off moments by the 92. He is the 4th driver in line, just 21 points back. Everyone else 62 or more, still mathematically possible. Are some of these drivers that are inside of our top 10, but you've got to ask for help from drivers having big mistakes. And with us having a smaller field here tonight than we've seen in the past, Zach, points are really just going to come down to some of these top runners here tonight.
That's the thing about, as you get farther into the season, we'll look at that schedule next, but you get farther in the season, it gets tougher for these points to close in, like you said, because those, field sizes usually tend to dwindle a little bit in iRacing. As the season gets farther away, people get stuff out of reach. They feel like there's nothing to battle for, so they might not show up. So it's definitely one of those situations where you're not going to gain as much as you possibly could have earlier in the season, but these drivers near the top, of course, in the top 4, all is still left to play, and it is plenty close between them 4 to battle it out to the end, but the rest are going to have to be perfect for sure.
They certainly will have to. As we move over to our schedule, 4 races left on the docket, but here are how the first 12 went down. Got to see Auto Club Las Vegas, and got to see a lot that of seeing Colin Clary, Austin Mikes getting into victory lane very early on when we made our broadcasting debut with the Lonestar drivers. Was at Richmond under the controversial finish there, but that's when we got to see Drew Blaze getting into victory lane. And then we got to see a couple of other names shine here recently. But Zach, the final 4 races, I mean, they are 4 very different types of races. Homestead, Bristol, National Super Speedway, and then the full-length Daytona International Speedway to finish off the season. What a quality 4 races we have in front of us.
That's for sure. 4 different tests, that's for sure. And, Homestead tonight, intermediate track, but very high, high wear, low grip. So I think drivers are going to have an interesting time trying to manage that. Next week doesn't get any easier at Bristol than Nashville. Of course, the concrete surface, very tough. But, of course, the final race at Daytona, we could have a points battle that comes down to 200 laps at Daytona, and that could go any way possible.
It really could. And some of the major ways you can gain points throughout the season: lead a lap, 1 bonus point; lead the most laps, 1 bonus point; most positions gained, which is kind of an awkward points one to grab, because the starting grid, if this is your first time seeing the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, is randomized. We actually have no idea where these drivers are going to start until they start gridding up after the warm-up is over. So it is also going to be a mystery to us until we see where these drivers will be starting. Now, we do know where 3 drivers will be ending up once we start this green flag conditions. We got Joseph Augusta, as well as Colin Clary and Drew Blaze. All 3 drivers will be given an end-of-the-line penalty due to last race incidents. Blaze, due to his win, he is given an EOL the next race, which is tonight, and then on-track incidences for Augusta and Clary. So those 2 drivers, all 3 of them, gonna have a rough start for this evening, but excited to see where they'll start off because of that 1 bonus point of most positions gained. Also, if you win a race, it's 1 bonus point, but here are some of the 2 big ways to get bonus points. No incidences, which is very difficult to do. That is 2 bonus points, and then finishing the race on top of that, that is 2 bonus points as well. Big ways to gain points, but Zach, there are also major ways to lose points because incident points are on top of that. You can lose points with getting involved with a wreck, getting every 4 incident points that you collect. That's just touching the wall, getting in the grass. It mounts up to points. You can lose big there. You don't want to be caught up in those terrible days of you're just constantly in wrecks all the time.
Wild to see, plenty of ways to gain, but also plenty of ways to lose too, because you bring up the incident penalties and the points that you lose there. I was actually looking through the results and just seeing how long that list is sometimes of drivers receiving 1 to 2 points off of their total race points. So got to stay out of trouble, got to stay out of that wall, keep your nose clean, because not only is that going to help keep the race car clean and fast, but also keep those penalties from stacking up. And you never know, it could be, when we look back at some of these penalties that drivers have received even post-race, those could be the differences in some of these championship battles.
It really could. And one of our 4 championship contenders that's really we're keeping a little bit of a closer eye on is Paul Boomershine. Talking about those incident bonus points being lost. The 92 is the only driver in the league so far, and he has started all 12 races so far this season, to have lost 0 points. Everyone else has lost at least 2 or more. So that is quite a feat for the 92. That's what's keeping him still in a chance for a fight. But we're about to get to racing action. Thank you so much for joining with us here this evening to watch the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series. If you're out there in chat, say hello. Who are you rooting for? We are excited to cheer on all the different drivers. We love when we see family and friends out there cheering on for their favorite drivers, our teams. It gives us a little driver to focus on. Who's our spotlight driver that you'd like to get notifications on throughout this race? On top of us following who's going to get into victory lane, some of the closest battles. And with warm-up finishing up, it's about to be time for us to take a closer look of your starting grid here this evening. A Homestead, 170 laps here tonight. 4 races left in the season. Who's going to find their way into victory lane? Well, this is where they're going to start things off tonight, as taking the top spot here this evening after the random grid being given out, it's Austin Mice in the 97. In second place will be Colin Clary, but he will start with the end of the line penalty due to being involved with an incident in a wreck last race. So he'll be sent to the end of the line. That will be moving up Jordan Maddox into that second position. In third, though, will be Caden Watts, with Jordan Maddox officially given 4th place in positioning. Alan Swan in 5th. 6th goes to Mike Fahey, with Greg Watchinski in 7th. Drew Blaze also will have an end-of-the-line penalty after getting his win last race. He officially is given 8th place for the 88, so those numbers aligning well. The return of number 10, Justin X. Johnson, is out there on track, and finishing out our top 10 is James DeBose.
In 11th is the 94 of Austin Grewell. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 21 car of Corbin Reich. In 13th, it's going to be the 25 of Joseph Augusta, with Nicholas Donfrancesco in the 24 starting in 14th. 15th is going to go to the 19 of Jacob D. Booth, with Kenneth Blackburn in the 155 starting in 16th. And our final row on the field here is in 17th is Paul Olson. And rounding out our 18 cars here tonight, it's Paul Boomershine as he looks to make a charge from the back.
So Paul Boomershine with a chance to grab that most positions gained, with starting in last place. We'll see how well the 92 can start things off here this evening. Again, tonight's race at Homestead. This track very unique to some of the other 1.5-mile courses that are ran on the NASCAR circuit. Zach, curious to see how these drivers can handle such a unique track like Homestead.
It is always a very, very unique situation when we come to Homestead, Sam, in my opinion. This place is one of the more tough, demanding 1.5-mile tracks that we go to. When we go to most of these cookie cutter style tracks, you got the tri-oval. This one has got 2 straight back straightaways, so it's really two very similar corner profiles, but very different corners when you get down to the two ends of the track. And it really allows these drivers to move all over the racetrack with the dynamic banking that it has. So it's one of the best. I think it's always a fan favorite, a driver favorite. So I think everybody gets a little bit more amped up when you get in that race car to come out here and race.
This progressive banking going to be starting off with 18 degrees at the very bottom, all the way up to 20 degrees all the way up to the wall. You don't want to get onto that apron. That could get you in trouble, but the straightaways, they're not completely flat either. They've got a little bit of banking at 4 degrees, and 1.5 miles in distance is the course length here at Homestead. Another factor I kind of want to bring up is the weather on tonight. We're in Miami. This is going to be a track that will have its ups and downs, but Zach, this is the toughest task of them all, is the weather when you come down to Miami, Florida. 85 degrees Fahrenheit is the air temperature, but it's that track temp. That's the big number we're keeping our eye on. 131 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind is swirling down to 9 degrees. I mean, at 9 miles per hour, you're okay with it be going at least in a consistent fashion. It's when it fluctuates when you get a little bit scared, but give me a little bit of a talking point on the track temp being that warm.
It's going to be very much a race of manage your tires, in my opinion, especially with it being this Gen 6 car. We've seen this season that tire management is very key in this car too. At some of these 1.5 miles, some of them not as much, but this one is top tier when it comes to management, and that higher track temp only makes the fall off in the tire wear that much greater. So it's going to be hard for these drivers to manage it, but I tell you what, it's going to make it fun for us to watch up in the booth, as I think there's going to be a bunch of comers and goers here throughout this first run.
You're seeing the field all trying to find a way to close in the gap, catch up to the leaders, because our top 8 are ready. Everyone else trying to get into their EOL positioning. With everyone being so spread out, though, we'll wait and see if admins are going to push out this restart or not, and they will extend it due to everyone not being in line with one another. So we'll take another lap around before we get to green flag racing action. We do have a Maddox Racing fan out there. We know whenever Jordan's out on track, you got a group of people cheering him on. It certainly should be a good one. Shouldn't the race be in the dark? You would think that maybe sometimes you come to Miami and it's in the nighttime conditions. That's usually when people come out to Homestead for a championship race, but there are times where people come out here for the daytime. I mean, Zach, that's kind of the unique thing of iRacing is you've got the options. If you got the track has lights, you can race at nighttime. If it doesn't have lights, you got to race during the day. But when it has both, you got the options of picking and choosing. And they chose here in the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. It's daytime racing, and it's a hot track they got to deal with.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's the beauty of iRacing. We have all these options and availability for us, just like they do in real life. I mean, if you want to race here early in the morning as the sun rises, you can do that too. So it is one of the most beautiful tracks, especially at night. But I can tell you, as a driver, there's something special about this place under the hot sun in the bright hot day out like this. It really makes the drivers come alive. So this is going to be one of those tougher races, but let's see who's going to be able to start with the management here at the beginning, because remember, the first run, you're not going to be able to get this one back.
There are no stage breaks, no fast repairs, just 3 extra sets of tires in pit road. There's no more breaks in the season. It's ready to race it to the championship, as we've got ourselves 4 races counting tonight, as we are green for Maddox as well for Mike, as the 97-37 roar down into turn number 1.
Great start for our front 2 there. Austin Mice out front, but it's going to be looking like the 15 there is going to hurt Mike Fahey. The 45 is going to get loose off of 2, actually, and lose that race car. Can he gather it up down the back straightaway? He does. What a save there, Sam, from the 45.
Huge save by Mike Fahey. And again, we haven't seen Fahey in a while, and so getting back used to this vehicle, it's going to be a tough task. That 45 is going to be fast, but now he's going to be a part of the drivers have to march their way forward with Drew Blaze, as well as seeing Colin Cleary make their charge forward after starting in the back. But that gives Austin Mice, Maddox, as well as Alan Swan some space to work with up front. As you're seeing the dynamic racing of Homestead, all 3 lanes being utilized, but it's the 97 holding strong for now. But watch out for the run from the 37. He's trying to duck low, but backs out of it going into 3.
That progressive braking is done so perfectly well here at this track that, like you said, all lanes being utilized from everyone around this track. And you can see around the top, that looks like that's Justin Johnson in the 5, who's 3 wide there in that third row back. And he's going to make the pass up to the top 3. And that is why we love Homestead-Miami, folks. You have the options available to take it anywhere on this racetrack to find speed and passing availabilities. And right now, drivers searching around here. But will that pay the price for these drivers who are making the moves early, Sam?
That X number 10 machine of Justin X Johnson trying to make his charge up to third place, already up 6 positions from where he started, and making the grand return. The DadBod.Studios TikTok channel is where a lot of people found to join the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series, and it was Justin Johnson's channel himself. Puts down the fastest lap so far of the race, and the X machine wanting to get up front quickly as he's watching the battle for the lead side by side as Jordan Maddox trying to work the outside group. But Zach, being the fastest right now, is this what you want to be doing at this current time?
That is going to be the question, Sam. I think we're going to find out very quickly here, because Johnson looking to use the tires, looking to use the speed to go around the top once more. It's going to be 3 wide for the lead here on lap number 4. Give it to Justin Johnson as he goes down the front straightaway in that DadBod.Studios machine, and he takes the lead here, Sam. We're going to see if he pays a price, but right now he's looking good out front.
2 3 wide passes he had to attempt to get to this position. Now up 8 positions, and to the lead is Justin Johnson in the 10. What a rebound run for himself and setting the tone. I mean, this is a big thing for Johnson, saying, yes, I was gone. Yes, I was not here for the whole entire season, but I am still a threat. I am still a race winner this season. Is that X10 machine? There's a couple of other hungry wolves that want to get back into the mix. Another fastest lap put down. That'll be the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco, who's going to be making the charge now. Seeing some more battling as I'm going to see Jordan Maddox, Maddox is starting to fall back to 37. Now looking as strong there in that middle groove as he was in the first 4 laps.
Going to find the grip, but he's going to slide up the racetrack into that gray area, and it's going to be tough there early in the go and to find the grip. And Maddox going to lose 1, maybe 2 spots. Now the Don Francesco to the inside here down in the 1. And Jacob D. Booth, he's looking behind going, can I find an opportunity to have an option 2? And he'll take it to the inside also. He's 37 to Maddox, who's right now just trying to stop the bleeding.
And as this front pack dueling back and forth, some moving forward, some going backwards, zooming behind. In 8th place is the 7 of Colin Clare. He started this race with an end-of-the-line penalty after being involved with the incident back at Texas. And he will be that white and red machine you see back there, leading the little bit of a break-off point from the first track to the second. That'll be the main driver. Watch out for. It's a big diving move from Don Francesco and a big block from Mike says he does not want to allow the 24 to go on by. And these 2 drivers have had great duels and rivalries throughout this season. Continue another chapter here in Miami.
Francesco off of 2 has the run, and he's going to clear here down in the 3 as Mice going to slot in the 3rd. We'll see what he can do in this position now. Is look at this, Greg, watch this guy. Great to see him back out here with some speed into 5. Going to make the move to the inside. He's shown that he can be a podium contender.
Watching the 24 of Nicholas DeFrancesco, he has certainly shown at times of what ifs. There have been so many second place finishes this season. He thought maybe it would be at Dover. He thought it'd be back at Kansas, and a few other tracks have blossomed up. But here tonight, already starting to see some drivers wanting to put some early blocks, which is kind of shocking. I mean, we're only on lap 9 second. These are some very hefty blocks these drivers are putting on one another. They don't want to give up the racing tone just yet. I think everyone's recognizing that track position is important at this moment.
No doubt. I think they're going to find out very quickly that you can go out there and set some really fast laps down and really push hard here, but you're going to have to manage your stuff. You see everybody kind of migrating. I mean, you still have to go up towards the bottom. Towards the top. But you see majority of our front group there might kind of migrating to the bottom. Is now Don Francesco another chance down to 3 and 4. He's going to look for the lead here on Justin Johnson, but Johnson's been fighting strong here. But we'll see how those tires hang on. As I just don't think Johnson's going to have it. Here's the 10. Going to lose the lead. Is down the 5. Also going to look to the inside. It is a great battle here at Homestead these opening laps.
It's conveyor belt of if you're moving forward at one moment, you get tossed to the other rack and you're going backwards just as quickly. And now seeing the 19 trying to find a way to squeeze underneath that white and blue and black and X machine. Not going to be the case just yet, but Nicholas DeFrancesco trying to pull away at the 3/10 over Great Watchin' Sky. Watchin' Sky made a little bit of a middle of the season start for himself. Debuted back at Watkins Glen a few races back. And great to see how the 5 has been up front in the top 5, top 3, almost every race he shows up for. But Zach, you talk about maybe a yo-yo factor. We're starting to see this front pack that was starting to spread out for a second is starting to squeeze back in as our top 10 drivers are all within 2 seconds of one another. And we got a whole new batch of drivers to attempt to go into the top 5.
This is really awesome right now. I mean, this racing has been great. I mean, we've seen so far the Gen 6 this season has had some great shows on these intermediates, but I'd expect here at Homestead to be a little bit more spread out, but everybody doing a good job to keep pace with each other, and that's showing right here that these guys are going to have battles all the way to the end. As you see Colin Clary, he's trying to make the pass on Jordan Maddox, but just couldn't find the run as Maddox had a nice side draft down the front straightaway to pull alongside. But now the 7 looks to have the speed through the center and off and will clear that 37, move the 7 up to the 6th position.
And then right behind them is going to be that blue and yellow machine. That's Mike Fakey. Lap 1, turn 2. Found himself sliding his way off the exit from 3rd place all the way back to outside the top 10. Now following in suit of Colin Clary, top 5 might be in the sights of the 45, who we've seen get into victory lane in the past and has been a top 3 speed driver at every course that we show up at. So watch out for Fahey. If this race continues to stay clean and green, he might recover and be a threat for the win at the end of tonight. But Zach starting to see a little bit of more of this spacing action as that's Corbin Reich in the Red Bull machine starting to fade backwards.
A little bit of fading from a few, a little bit of charging from others. It's really starting to get to the phase of the run here where tires are starting to overheat for a few. And some are doing a great job just to manage them. You know, Justin Johnson, he drove to that lead. He drove like the 4th, but he's done a good job to manage since he's gotten there. But really, everybody's kind of just riding along. And even the driver I feel like that's been managing the most here is last week's winner of Drew Blaze. We'll see if, you know, he has that unreal long run speed that we've seen from him this season. Or is this going to come back to kind of bite him here, being about 4 seconds off the lead? You know, it's giving up a lot of time. But we'll see. I mean, We've seen him before be this far back and have just some unreal long run speed that's been able to make up that difference.
Yeah, I think with the way that we've been seeing this tire work for the Gen 6, especially this season, it's kind of been fun to see kind of the old ways of if you were too aggressive in the first 10 laps, you were going to get hurt. But if you were patient in saving your tires, the long run is where you're going to really thrive after that 20, 25 lap marker. That's when the switch hits and you start being so much faster, a 10th, 2 tenths, sometimes even 3 tenths faster than drivers ahead. And we know Drew Blaze is going to be the main factor of a driver to watch out for. He knows he needs to get up front and start challenging, lead some laps, get those bonus points. Don't want to let your competition grab all the bonus points and have a good point stable, or maybe you lose the points lead if you're the 88 machine. But your competition are racing around one another. Here's Colin Clary as well as Mike's that are side by side for 5th place.
Ice has been doing a great job of just kind of holding in the top 5, but the 7 has come through with speed, and he is showing right now he has, just the will to drive to the lead, really. And right now, he's doing the best he possibly can, but just wasn't able to get that job done. Is right here we're seeing, watch this guy. He's got actually Jacob D. Booth here to the outside of him. As you can see the battle in the background for that group. Booth almost makes the pass around the outside here, and it has been all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these outside wide shots are giving some better looks at all the action that's going around. It is constant battling here and there around the course. You got battling for second. You got this pack that's almost 3 wide off the exit turn number 2. And this is 4th all the way back to 10th place that are squeezed in this little pod as Nicholas DeFrancesco, Jacob D. Booth, and Greg Watchinsky are trying to pull away and hoping that this pack doesn't run them down. But he had a feeling, is Justin Johnson being a little bit of a safety valve holding their competition, or is everyone just in a little bit of a waiting period of cooling off their tires right now?
That is always the question to be asked here for a few of these guys. I mean, Johnson's done a good job of holding on the 4th ever since he's kind of fell back from those top 3. But right now, Colin Clary, you know, I figured he would make kind of quick work of the 10 if he was going to continue forward, but he seems like he might be in trouble here a little bit of being stuck. So we got that top 3 kind of driving away. This could turn into a very interesting race if the 7 doesn't have the speed to get up here.
If that's not the case, if they cannot catch up to this front group, watch out for Greg Watchin-Sky. That 5, probably my pick of our top 3 to go for a win here tonight. But we know Nicholas DiFrancesco really wants to get into the win column after all those second place finishes. But here we go. It's Nick. It's going to be Colin Clary trying to get by Johnson. And talking about maybe losing the competition. The 7 flips the switch, and now it's his time to take off and go. And that was a much easier pass than I think I was expecting to see with how long these drivers were just settling behind the number 10 machine.
Hopefully a more laid-back pass there, but able to get the job done. So great job from Colin Clary there as he's going to move up to 4th. But now Johnson's going to have his eyes on on the swivel here because, of course, he's got Clary ahead, but he's going to have that grouping of just multiple drivers stacked up behind him, and it's going to be an interesting situation now because I think Drew Blaze is also kind of catching up to this group in the 88 who's back in 11th. So this is going to be an important phase of the race because right now we're getting to lap 21 and near that lap 25 marker where tires really are going to start to kick in for a few of these drivers, I think.
Tires are going to be a big thing. I know one of our favorite things to always look at when with us up at the booth, we got the live telemetry to watch out for of what are the lap times, last lap compared to maybe the last 10 laps to some of your competition. It's been kind of fun to see some of those drivers in the middle of the pack running just as fast as our leader or at times running faster than Nicholas DiFrancesco. That last lap, though, the 24 was the fastest driver out on track, and that's the first time I could say that within the past 3-4 laps. So 24 has no give up, but we're starting to see the competition here mounting up, trying to find a way to get around this 10. But Mice, as well as Fahey and others, got to be careful with being this close to one another. One just aggressive move to the inside, to the outside. You might not be fully clear and might collect yourself and a couple of other drivers with you if you're not careful.
That's for sure, Sam. I completely agree with you. This is one slip up from being a disaster for a few because they're all just grouped up on top of one another. But this is some great racing that we've seen so far here at Homestead. And right now, Johnson doing a great job. I mean, he's still holding to a top 5 spot. And right here, he's going to have that 45 looking maybe to the middle to make it 3 wide. But for the time being, he's got the settle behind him. This
is starting to look a lot more like our current next-gen ARC trucks, even I would say the O'Reilly series on how the outside is so defensively strong. And it's working out for Johnson here to defend the fast drivers behind him that are trying to find openings. But you know there is too much risk to the reward to try to make a pass on the outside. You're trying to make it work as much as possible. We see another diving move by the 97, but Johnson with the big squeeze, it's holding back. That's not allowing Mice nor Fahey to make these moves as they're almost side by side off the exit of the corner.
There's so much action going on, and I mean right back there in the background of that too, you got Alan Swan who was getting passed by Drew Blaze. Now Corbin Reich has Drew Blaze in the 88, and this 88 is on a mission, Sam. I've been watching the lap times. They're starting to really show that he has saved his stuff, and he's going to be quickly making work of this group, and I think it's going to be pretty easy pass with just how much grip he's got right now compared to these guys. It's a big block from the 45.
I don't know if that was a block, if that was a push, gone wrong, or just a get out of the way move by Fahey, but the 45 drops low. The 88 takes the outside lane, and that's a 2-for-1 special through 3 and 4. As Drew Blaze, watch out, the 88 wants to go, and he wants to go now. As Johnson will ride the middle, has to block the 97, and it's continue to block who you can because you're not stopping the 88 of Blaze, but Johnson might have overcooked himself. He snaps loose, and the 10 loses all the positions he was fighting for.
Oh, such a tough position for Johnson there, just a little loose off of 2. And that's going to allow, like you said, pretty much everyone around and going to maybe slide it back to 10th. But for the time being, he's got Corbin Reich to the outside. And what a save, though, because that could have been disaster. And good job from Austin Mice. Also heads up job from him checking up because I believe him and Fahey might make some contact too. So that could have been a disaster for a few like we were just talking about a few moments ago.
And now we move up to the lead because Nicholas DiFrancesco finally has someone who's willing to fight for the top position, and it's Greg Watchin-Sky. And looking at the lap times, Watchin-Sky has been quick. Not as fast as Blaze or Clary back there in 4th and 5th, but it is a watch out period for the 24 because the 5 is right on the back bumper and he has climbed his way into this position. At one moment was about a half second back, now within 2/10 right on the back bumper as they go through turns 1 and 2. The 5's looking for an opportunity and really just banking on the 24 to have a bad exit out of the corner, but that outside still looking good for Dan Francesco.
Definitely making it work for the time being. We'll see if the 5 can get alongside. Can he utilize the side draft to really make the pass? And through 3 and 4 there, just a much better run up off the corner. He's going to be almost slide up, and he will clear that 24 as Don Francesco just not able to get back to the quarter panel and give Greg Watchin-Sky the lead of this race here on lap 29.
And with these drivers now 29 laps in the books, you got to think for the 5, you better get going because your competition is starting to run you down. You got Clary, Blaze, Fahey, Mice. They are running some quick lap times. Primarily, it's Clary and Blaze that run in 3rd and 4th that are flying right now. 3 to 4 tenths faster than Watchin-Sky, even with him putting a decent lap that last go around after taking the lead.
Definitely good, better lap from Watchin-Sky. Now he's got outside lead, but yeah, still the better times are going to come from that 88 of Drew Blaze and this 7 of Con Clary. He's looking very strong also. I was kind of worried there for a second when Clary got around Justin Johnson earlier to take that 5th spot. He just kind of didn't have the lap time compared to the drivers ahead, and I think that was really a management tool. He got out to that clean air. He's like, I'm going to just ride here for the moment. Don't overheat my stuff, because he could have easily went and tried to run that grouping down. He kind of waited, played it out, and now it's allowed him to get much closer than he was before. But his only issue is his closest competition or competitor in points is right behind him in this 88. We've known all season long his strength has really been, that past that lap 30 point really of the run, and he has shown it once again. He's got it dialed here tonight.
Again, these drivers have 3 extra sets of tires in pit road. They're all going to try to manage their fuel and tires to try to make sure they've got an extra set to work with at the end of this race, just in case there's a late caution, which puts a lot of pressure on these drivers to put fast lap times down as well as running down the front runners. Here is some of your drivers, though, that are going to be in concern of going a lap down. You got Caden Watts as well as Kenneth Blackburn that are out on track. Joseph Augusta's already coming to pit road and used a set of tires. So we'll see how that works out for the 25, who's already 2 laps down. But Zach, I mean, you look at the rest of the field, you got to say the closest battles that are happening on track is the battle for 12th place. That's where we see the 55 of James DuBose, Greenwell, Boomershine, and Olsen. These guys are putting on a show outside of the top 10.
That they are. This group is still battling back here, and they are really putting on quite a show as DuBose just not able to have the run there to clear Boomershine, as Boomershine will slide up into 13th and now set his sights on Grewell for that 12th spot, as Boomershine looking to gain those points and have still an opportunity to fight for that championship. But he's always been a driver too, Sam, that he rides back here really in this 13th to 12th area a lot of times and then ends up somehow in the top 5 by the end. So don't count this 92 out, even though he's running back here in 13th. He very well could be right back into the mix at the end.
Well, a lot of it is the fact that Boomershine just keeps himself out of trouble. And some of those top runners that are already inside of the top 10 right now find themselves making mistakes, maybe speeding into pit road, getting involved with a wreck that takes them out of this race. There are factors that Boomershine just doesn't do that's allowing him to have these finishes that are really impressive. And tonight might be one of those nights where he might not have his competition fall away. This is still a long race, still a lot of time left. We still have plenty of racing action here from Homestead. So if you're Boomershine, you're not completely demoralized, but it certainly is the most helpful when you look at lap times being so far back and off the pace of the leaders. You got to hope for maybe a caution, so strategy that could change things up to get you into the top 10 and maybe into the top 5, as here is Alan Swan in the 85 and the 21 of Corbin Reich having some fun right behind Mice. This is for 7th and 8th as they're trying to charge their way forward. And looking at these drivers and where they are in points, Corbin Reich 10th in points. He's got 5 top 10s, 1 top 5. Hoping to maybe change those numbers up a little bit. Is Swan a great middle portion of that corner, but loses out on the exit right there for the 85.
It is so tempting to do when you're here at Homestead. I know that exact feeling of in 3 and 4 of feeling the car rotate, feeling like you got the nose pointed, and you jump back to that gas just a little bit too hard to lose the nose, and it just destroys all your run down the front straightaway. So that's tough to always to have that feeling, but these drivers are doing a really good job of just managing their stuff and putting themselves in situations where they can. But you can see here from Swan's point of view, this is all about just finding a little bit of air, but you also want to run your line. So it's really a game of dealing with the dirty air while trying to get to the line you prefer to run. And right now some of these drivers are looking to take that away from each other, and right here you can see Mice doing a good job running the bottom ahead.
Doing a great job running the bottom, and we are going to move up to the racing action for second place. Nicholas DeFrancesco has been caught. Now going to be dealing with the 7 and 88 that are both attempting to make the move on the inside groove, but Nicholas is in the 24 has been working the outside. He is keeping his foot in the throttle, almost brushing the wall a couple of times. Drew Blaze is in an awkward position of, do I want to keep these guys side by side and force the 7 to use his tires just a little bit more? Or do I want to pass both drivers just in one fell swoop, or do I continue following the 7? Options are in line for Drew Blaze, but if you're Colin Clary, you gotta go, and you gotta go now, and he makes the pass cleanly, and here we go for Blaze. He's trying to follow in suit.
Great job by Clary to get that job done. That was important. He didn't want to dilly-dally and have, like you said, the 88 try to decide who he was going to push when they're side by side, but the 88 does the same, makes a great pass on Don Francesco, who slides back to 4th. But now the game is, can they catch up to Watson's guy? Because they lost about 3-4 tenths there during that phase of passing the 24. Now they just kind of need to almost work together to catch this 5, because I really feel like 2 cars can almost be quicker here than 1, just with the way this 550 package is.
Yeah, God, so many options when you look at how you want to run that driver down, but do you even want to run it down on this set of tires? Because, Zach, I'm looking at lap times, which has been fun to see who's running the fastest laps, but if you look at the fastest laps that have been put down all race long compared to this most previous lap put down, some of these drivers are getting close to 2 seconds off their pace from their fastest lap to their most recent one they just put down. And that's going to be putting a little bit of concern of who's thinking about maybe pitting sooner than later to make sure that you're good on tires, of just as you don't accidentally maybe pop a tire and get a blown one later on. As Blaze, Clary, the duel is back on side by side for a quick moment, but it's the 7 holding strong for second, as the 7 and the 88 putting on this duel back and forth. And you talked about losing time. They are continuously losing time with going back and forth in this battle.
They really are losing a lot of time right now, and watching Sky loving what he sees in his mirror. He's like, keep that up, guys, be side by side as much as you want. I'll take that gap all day long, especially because we're 41 laps into this run. In my opinion, if you're going to make this a 2-stop, if you're going to stretch it out to make a 2-stop green flag run race here, you're going to go to about 58, 59 on this run. So we're still looking at almost another 18 to 16 laps for these drivers out here. So still a lot of opportunity left. Watch this guy, you want to have as much of a gap as possible before we come to pit run.
You want to get out there, but you also want to make sure you got the freshest tires for the long run to have that advantage on top of the rest of your competition. But that comes with also the great risk of maybe giving up too much time, as watching Sky was building up that gap, but it is starting to shrink back down as Clary and Blaze have gotten in line and are starting to kind of work together now a little bit more efficiently. I don't know if watching Sky maybe burned up his stuff when he saw an opportunity to try to pull away with all the battling in his mirror, but that last lap giving the advantage to the 7 and the 88 by 1/10 over our leader on lap side between their pace. But the fastest driver on track currently is Mike Fahey of those inside of the top 10.
What a lap, yeah, from Fahey back there, 36-32. So another 10th faster than Blaze and Clary, so 2 tenths faster than our leader. Great job from the 45. He looks like he just made the pass to get around Austin Mice. So he'll be able to get that job done. Now he's going to focus his sights up here to go get Don Francesco. And, Fahey, a winner at Intermediate earlier this season. He has shown again here he's got some great pace, and he's utilizing it right now.
He certainly does, but already showing early on, it's been the mistakes, either getting caught up in wrecks or self-sabotaging moments that have really hurt this 45. And in the first 40 laps of this race, he's already had multiple different mistakes that have thrown away opportunities to maybe be inside of our top 3 and challenging for this lead position. Other quick drivers that are out there on track, Paul Boomershine in 11th place. The problem, he gave up so much time to finally be quick. He is over almost 11 seconds off our leader. Yes, he's fast at this current time, but Zach, there's that give and take moment of you're just giving up way too much time as the 92 if you want to be that true competition of those that are inside of our top 5.
Totally agree, Sam, because I think really he's going to kind of hit, so to say, a cliff when he gets to 10th. Once he catches Paul or Justin Johnson in 9th ahead of him, he's going to have about a 4-second gap to the next car. So yeah, just a lot of time given up, but a lot of pace here at the end of the run, just with that slower pace to take off. So we'll see how Boomershine works it out. But we've seen before, some of these caution falls the right way, it could work out for him. So we'll see how his night continues to trend on. But Fahey has caught Don Francesco. It looks like he's already got around him. And Austin Mice, he's done a good job to latch on to Fahey in that 97. They're going to both look to move into the top 5 as Don Francesco goes from leading just about 20 mere laps ago and now fading outside the top 5 as even Alan Swan coming in to have an opportunity in the 85 also.
Yeah, and their pass you saw was completed by Drew Blaze, get by Clary, so he'll continue on that charge as the 24 continues to fade backwards. Alan Swan, one of the more unique drivers, I think, to watch. When we come to the 1.5 tracks, it doesn't matter which style, he is a driver that will be in contention inside of our top 10, or just outside of the top 5. But when we go to the shorter tracks, that's when things kind of fall away for the 85, which is going to make me slightly concerned for what type of speed we'll see from Swan in these upcoming races. As next race next week, we head to Bristol, and then we also will head to Nashville Super Speedway the week after that before finishing off the season at Daytona. So this is one of the final shining moments for Swan, unless he wants to shock us with some quick short track pace in these upcoming races. But I know Nashville Super Speedway, that track is just unique and completely different factors of it being an intermediate course in between a 1.5 and a 1 mile course, and the tendencies of concrete on top of a little bit of 1.5 style racing.
Interesting call here. Looks like watching this guy coming to pit road. So this is 10 laps earlier than I was talking about. So I'm considering maybe they're going to go for a 3-stop strategy here. I mean, that does fall in the realm of a 3-stop strategy. This is kind of where you would hit if you were doing that. So we'll see how this works out now. Watch this guy going to come to pit road. Drew Blaze, Colin Clary, and the rest of the field going to continue to stay out. What strategy is better? Because, again, you do have a ton of fall off here, so there is a little bit more options and availability. Is Blaze into the outside wall down the back straightaway there.
Just a little bit of lack of focus for a quick moment there for Blaze. You're hoping that contact's not going to gain any extra damage. Doesn't look to be the case just yet as he continues to rip and roll his way forward. And another quick time by the 88 team, a 36-1 was his last lap, which is kind of shocking to see. A lot of the drivers were running 36.3s to 36.4s the last couple of laps. Put down a 36.1 lap time. That is incredible by Blaze, even with tapping the wall. As the drivers continue to race on. Watch this guy going to get some service. Has already completed his service. Same for Paul Olson as well as Keaton Watts. Now that kind of makes sense for Watson Sky and Olson. They're working together. They came in at Watkins Glen. A similar strategy. Their team has figured out, you know what, this is the call we want to make. And, you know, looking at the numbers, how the fall off works, I think this isn't the worst strategy to call, but it does make me slightly concerned in the middle of this race, because if there is a caution that comes out, it could really be demoralizing for the 5 and the 23 here tonight.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I think that would be such a terrible situation for them to play out. And yeah, I mean, there is availability with the strategy there to do this. I think my concern is kind of the lap times we're running right now. You reach that kind of point already at around lap 30, it seems, and you kind of just plateau from there and try to manage your lap times as best you can. So It's going to be tough, I think, to make the difference with the fresher tires, but we'll see how it works out. I mean, anything is possible, of course, in racing. And it looks like ahead of our leader
Low tire.
here. Yeah, Jacob Booth.
Jacob D. Booth, tire blowing up off the exit turn 4, could not get into pit road, had to go a full lap around. And that will be most likely an emergency pit stop for the 19 other drivers heading into pit road. Going to be Nicholas DeFrancesco as well as Austin Gruen, going to get service for themselves. But Jacob D. Booth, big loss of time as riding on board with the 5 of watching Sky to get a sense of what it's like. Driver who just got fresh rubber 2 laps ago compared to third place runner of Austin Mice. And you can already see just the speed difference, even on the straightaways, the amount of speed you can carry off the exit of the corner, but it's really on entry. He is already 3 car lengths ahead of that 97 and about to be making a pass on second and first to unlap himself the hard way.
It is wild to see the difference in speed for those things. And yeah, I mean, watch this guy going to be utilizing that fresh rubber. Everybody else is going to be saying, man, that looks nice. I want some of that, but I think everybody seems like they're willing to wait. They're going to try to get to, like I said, around that lap 58 marker before they come to pit road. And watch this guy looking to do the exact opposite, run that one more pit stop strategy, and we'll see if it works out for him because, hey, a Booth blew a tire, so it doesn't mean it's out of the realm for others to do the same.
Yeah, I mean, there is options for a lot of guys. I mean, you can try to continue trying to push it out, but again, the worry of tires, if you haven't been protecting them, this could be a worry. I kind of want to bring up our weather once again. For everyone that's just joining us, you might have missed out. The track temp is warm. Air temperature at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, but the track temperature 130. It's dropped 1 degree since we started this race. It was at 131 degrees Fahrenheit for the track temp, and that's why we're kind of at a concern for tires as multiple drivers head into pit road. Kenneth Blackburn going to be getting service done. Jordan Maddox has just made it into his box as more pit stops underway. Our top 9 still yet to make their first stop of the night as your leader of Drew Blaze continues to rip the top, but that makes me concerned because it looks like he's up there just trying to slow down the momentum of the 5 more than just make it to the number when he wants to hit pit road.
It very well could be that situation. We'll see how he's able to do it, but I mean, pulling away at the time for now is now the 5 will unlap himself to put himself in the 10th position, 30 seconds behind the lead here. But we'll see when the others pit. I mean, this is going to be interesting. Ooh, you can see the wiggle there from Blaze. I mean, he's out front running the quickest times right now, and he's having those moments. So this is just showing you everybody really fighting these race cars here tonight. And I can tell you also who's having a great run now, Austin Mice. He is now up to Colin Clary, and it might be a battle for second here soon. This 97 did a good job. I thought he was fading earlier when he fell back to 7th. I think he's just done such a good job of managing his stuff. Austin Mice in position here to, be right in the fight for this top 2.
A little bit of cat and mouse out there of who's really got the true speed and who doesn't. As everyone's back and forth, other battles that are also happening. Alan Swan's keeping in touch with Mike Fahey for 4th, currently on track. As again, leading the way with those that have already pitted is Greg Watchin-Sky, as he is already unlapped himself, which is a good sign. He needs to build a big lead before we start seeing some of these drivers head into pit road, which each lap that goes by, Greg Watchin-Sky, he is building a 1.5 second gap, if not more, each and every lap. As another driver heads to pit road, that's Drew Blaze. That's going to get service done, as well as Alan Swan heading into pit road.
That's right on the window of when I felt like they'd come down, and sticking to that strategy, I felt like they probably felt like the tires were at their limit. And the thing about this tire wear, it's going to be tough on this first run. The track was cleaner, didn't have as much rubber on it, and that makes things very, very difficult when it comes to tire wear. But as that rubber lays down, as this race continues on, especially in these green flag conditions, this track's going to get more rubbered in. That tire wear condition is going to be less and less as this race goes through. So drivers are going to have less concern, I think, about more tires if they can make it at least the distance for now. As you can see, the battle for the lead on our screen.
And this is Colin Clary, Mice back and forth, still yet to hit pit road. Now heading to pit road is going to be Mike Fahey back in 5th place to get service done. We're still waiting on 5 drivers, excuse me, to hit pit road to get service for themselves. As James DeBose back in 7th place. And then our top 4 still need to head into pit road, which Clary and Mice both are in a weird spot because they're battling so hard. When will they make the decision to go to pit road? Because the more they fight back and forth, there might be a lap where you're just forced in and there's a driver to your inside.
You're exactly right, Sam. And, you know, you can kind of get blindsided here a little bit. You see Jacob D. Booth here coming by on fresher tires. He kind of had to check up there as the 97 kind of covered off the bottom. And I tell you what, it's glared up into the wall, but he has a good enough run to stay side by side. These guys can kind of get lost racing each other and allow, you know, Blaze just to be on the superior strategy by staying out here longer and racing each other. So let's see who flinches first when it comes to pit road, but I think they're just stuck battling each other for the lead for the time.
And this is hurting on time for the both of them because they are losing so much time to those that have already pitted, but hoping to get rewarded once this pit cycle concludes. You'll be able to run down those drivers that have already made their stop. And this is going to be helping also for Mice, Clary, Reich, Boomershine. I mean, Zach, our top 4 still yet to hit pit road, but that looks like a move that Clary does not want to see the outside. He wants to get the inside. The 7's showing signs that pit road is calling. What will the 97 do? Because the more you stay out, the better this is going to be for the later runs. You don't have to worry about your tires as much in those later stages as Clary hits pit road. Now we got 3 drivers left to make their stops as Corbin Reich's now heading into pit road, making out 2. Boomershine, Mice, the last 2 to make their first stop of the evening.
Very interesting, the situation here. Boomershine, as always, staying out longer. He was going to probably look to catch some type of yellow. But if you're Austin Mice, I don't think you can wait too much longer here. I think you need to come to pit road and just, you know, get these tires on this car so you can have a chance to race that 7 car at some point. And you never know if Drew Blaze makes a mistake, because look at this pit road. This is another thing I didn't talk about tonight. One of the more tough pit roads to get slowed down and get onto with the transition. It could very well be a mistake that someone has under one of these green flag stops here tonight that causes an issue for him, as it looks like Boomershine going to stay out again and lead a lap.
Boomershine gets to lead that lap, 1 bonus point for the 92, and this is exactly what he's been doing all season long. Just take it easy, find your openings, and go for a gamble here and there. And that's what the race that he found himself getting into victory lane. A lot of the competition wiped out early during the Kansas race a couple of weeks ago. And now Paul Boomershine in a position to where he's running faster laps than we were seeing Mice as well as Clary were running before. So this is a great showing from the 92. The only problem is Zach, he needs a caution at this point to get back into a fighting position to race with your competition. You just got to be willing to use a little bit of that extra grip to stay in touch with the pack, I think, if we get a caution.
That's for sure, especially if you get some track position. You got to not allow yourself to kind of save too much and give up too much time, especially if you get up towards that front. So Boomershine going to have to play that out, but let's see when he does elect to come to pit road. He'll continue on. I think you could go a good bit longer, but yeah, he's going to come this time. So I think that's smart here on lap 65 to come down and hit pit road. And as that happens, it's going to transition the lead back to Greg Watchensky. But I'll tell you what, Sam, he has got issues because Drew Blaze did an excellent job through all of that phase of everything. He is only 1 second back, and those tires are about 10 laps fresher.
And the main reason why pit road troubles for Greg Watchensky, he had a 1.5 seconds slower pit lane time compared to his competition around him, and also a tougher time trying to get around traffic as the 5 able to get by 1, gets by 2, and now has to put the threat onto Blaze as a much easier time getting by the 94 and 10 machine. As I say that, the 10 still fighting side by side, but Watchensky had to back out of it, and Blaze with a huge run off the exit of turn 4, and now will take the lead in a blink of an eye.
What a job from Drew Blaze. He has put himself in position again with just methodical long run speed here. As look at this, the 5 going to have issues too, because guess what? Here comes Don Francesco. He's going to have about 3 lap fresher than Watchensky. So these two battled the first run. They're now back battling for second, and it looks like Watchensky not going to have the opportunity to hold this 24 back. We'll see if Don Francesco is able to hold on a little bit better this run.
And you'll watch it, Greg, watching Sky. I mean, he's still, if he wants to continue on the route, if he's going to pit 3 times this race, he's still a far out position of 3 to 4, I mean, 10 to 15 laps away from whenever we'll see maybe the 5-hit pit road again. But this is certainly a bizarre one to see because Drew Blaze, even with staying out, is so much faster than everyone else. The 88, where's his competition that pits a few laps later? Well, Colin Clary pitted 4 laps after Drew Blaze and is currently 11, now almost 12 seconds back to the 88 machine. Clary's back in 6th place. Mice is back in 8th, 15 seconds back. I mean, Zach, I understand that you were trying to maybe get an advantage on tires for the later run, but there's sometimes just giving up too much time, and that might be the case for the 7 as well for the 97.
Completely agree. I mean, and it's so much time to give up. And also, just look at where Drew Blaze is at on the racetrack. He has no one in front of him right here. There's a couple seconds up the road before there's any cars. He's just going to have such clean racetrack just to manage these tires and just continuously run the bottom lap after lap here and just kind of do exactly what he did the first run. He could have, if this thing stays green all night here long, he could have a ginormous lead at the end of this thing.
It is going to be a question of who can run down the 88, 70 laps in of 175. Still plenty of more racing action to call here tonight, but your first pit cycle completed out, which means we're going to be taking our first commercial break of the evening. It's been a good one so far. You're watching the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series, race 13 of 18 this season. And it has certainly been a fun one so far at Homestead, the back and forth. But after this pit cycle, we're starting to see some spreading out. When we come back, where will they be placed? Well, we'll see right after this when we come back from this commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we were under green flag conditions, it looked like everyone was spaced out and clear. We weren't seeing anything really of passes for position, but Joseph Augusta made a pit stop, had a black flag, and just takes out Jordan Maddox. Just no self-awareness. In the 25, he spent the whole lap, had a black flag that he had to serve. Just was ripping the top, going about 25 miles per hour. And you're going to see here, he just drops low. He had plenty of time to get low. Maybe communicate you're going to go down, but goes from the top rope to where? They wasn't making pit road. And now the 37's out of this race.
Maddox just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, that is the definition of that, folks, right there. Really nothing he could do in this scenario. And yeah, I mean, the 25's letting this group by here, and he just gets going so slow and waits so late to turn down the track that, like Sam said, it would have been even tough to make it the pit road. He would have most likely made contact with the barrels, if anything. It's just a situation where maybe go around another time here and find another lap, because you don't have to come exactly that time for the black flag. You can go a few laps before the officials will, take the timing and scoring down.
I mean, this is another race of just... Joseph Augusta is a driver who has a less than a 1K I rating and doesn't have the confidence when there's people around him, and showing there a lack of experience. I mean, you have also the off-axis, the entrance of the off-axis road that you could have taken also. If you're going to run that slow, don't be on the racetrack. Just stay on the apron and follow that lane to pit road if you're going to do that. Instead, you take a driver out, and this resets the field, and now we've got ourselves everyone closed up. And it took a race that was maybe going to be a little bit spaced out, kind of knew who was the favorite, to this is wide open, because half the field came into pit road to take tires. The other just topped off on fuel. Some are now using their second of 3 sets that they had in pit road already. And we've got less than 100 laps to go. Zach, this is wide open as we have just been given the 1 to go. We're going green this next time by. And let the Wild West continue on, because this now, here's the thing wide open to this race is going to be a 1-stop from here on out. But some drivers only have just 1 set left.
That's for sure. Yeah, 1 set left for, it looks like, majority of the field. Colin Clary and Austin Mice are front 2. No tires, just fuel for those 2. And then really from there on back, it's pretty much fuel and tires for everybody. So the 7 and 97, they're going to have a target on their back. They got to be careful here, Sam. This could get very much a disaster for our 2 championship contenders if they're not careful in this situation, because you can easily get caught up in someone's mess here by just, being on so much older tires. So let's watch this restart, folks. It's going to be a wild one, at least to say.
It certainly is expected to be so, as Joseph Augusta officially out of this race. Now he's left the server. Jordan Maddox is still in pit road getting service done. Kenneth Blackburn is getting service done as well. 2 other drivers are 1 lap down. That's Jacob D. Booth and DeBose. 13 other drivers are on the lead lap. Colin Clary, Mice, they're entering the restart zone, and we are green once again here from Homestead. What a bizarre caution, but it brings the field back together. And this was kind of the chaos if you missed it at the very start of the race. This is when things are going to be fun. These first 20 laps of this run, you're going to be seeing drivers swapping back and forth, trying to take the lead. Some will be patient and saving their tires, but for the top position, Clary, Blaze, they both want the fresh air. Save for Mice as they head down into turn number 3.
Blaze taking control on those fresher tires. I think it's going to take a few laps for the new tires to really show their life as they come up to temperature. But you can see already Clary, Mice looking into the outside here as they're going to have a group of high-end fresh tires trying to make the passes all around them. They're going to be in big trouble here as you see Clary cover off the bottom as Francesco and the 45 Fahey stack up behind them off of 2.
And the 45 Fahey, probably the one that is most intriguing when I look at how he ran that first stint. Spun out on the first lap, lost a bunch of time, then had to work his way through all the traffic. Now trying to use the bumper on the 7. Clary getting a little bit of a tap from Fahey, and Fahey pushes the 7 up. The 45 pushes through, but it's Nicholas DeFrancesco in the 24 that takes the major advantage as they're side by side down into turn number 1, and the 7 almost thrown into the outside wall.
Just like that, these old tires are starting to come up the full temperature. The new tires are coming into their prime temperature, and that's where you're going to see these issues. As you see Clary dropping back, and Austin Mice on forward on him. It's now look Boomershine in the background. He's making a big move to get to the inside. As Paul Olsen also going to go around the 7 of Colin Clary, who he is going to be hoping for some type of yellow at some point. Oh no,
Pit
he's
road.
going to pit road.
What is happening? What is going on? Colin Clary, there is no word on what's happening, but he is just emergency stopping, heading into his box. And the 7 went from a threat to win here tonight to maybe that is the championship for himself. He is out of the session. Colin Clary's gone. And that now puts the hands of this race into Drew Blaze's absolutes, as now he'll take off and go and is pulling away and trying to move away from Nicholas DeFrancesco and Fahey. But now this puts Austin Mice as one of the few drivers that did not take fresh tires, trapped currently in 5th. But Zach, still no word on exactly why he backed out. I'm curious when we do get that message, but a bizarre one to see the 7 call it an evening here early.
Tough scenario to see. That's unfortunate for Colin. Hope everything's all right in his surroundings there. But I tell you what, Mice, he's now the lone man on the old tires, and he is fighting off a group back here. This 97 has the 21 looking to his inside. He's going to have Boomershine and Paul Olsen very soon in the 23 looking to the inside. So if you're Austin Mice, he's just got to keep a mental, kind of wall built on here, Sam, and try to hold on for anything he's got, because that extra set of tires could be valuable here, but he is going to need some help from the yellow flag for sure.
He certainly is, as the field continues to race on with the 7 out of this race. As now 2 drivers are officially out. Jordan Maddox still has a required damage flag sitting in pit road, and still sitting in pit road is Kenneth Blackburn. Total of 14 drivers still out on track, 12 on the lead lap. And it's Blaze that's under fire from Mike Fahey for the lead position. The 88, the 45, giving us a show up. One in contact for the leaders. Blaze gets spun around into the inside wall. Both drivers go for a spin. Still no caution just yet, but the 45 drifts up. No contact. Everyone gets through. And that's the caution if you're Austin Mice you were looking for. And it was our leaders battling for the lead that go around.
Wow, and this makes it where nobody who took tires before is going to want to take a set, because just the timing of that. And wow, just look at the race cars that were involved in that, of the 45 and the 18. Both very lucky to be super clean after all is said and done after that wreck. That could have been a disaster for both of them as they were racing for that lead.
Everyone's taking a deep breath. As that one was an unexpected contact. Still no radio action between Mike Fahey nor the 88, as there is going to be just a contact made between the drivers. As we're trying to get the replays. That is I believe a different one that was going. We have no idea what's going on in the background. Something is happening to our producers' stuff. As technology, sometimes it's a mystery even to us when we're using it for these broadcasts. As saw for a blink of an eye, but here's going to be the contact. Blaze just drifting down. I don't know, Zach, if that was a contact between drivers of seeing the 88 trying to duck down, or if it was seeing the 45 have net code. They both were very close, but ultimately contact in the 45 of the 88 drifting back on the racing surface is what brought the yellow.
Was very interesting. I mean, maybe it was maybe possibly some netcode that caused the 88 to jump down to the inside there, but definitely was the 88 of Drew Blaze who kind of came down into Fahey. Nothing really Fahey did wrong there, so interesting scenario, but man, oh man, luckily for everybody involved in it, there's nobody really too damaged. So it's really just going to be the tires that were hurt from that more than anything. And now we're going to get to see, does Austin Mice, yeah, he did come to pit road, and yeah, he's getting his 4 set of tires. So Austin Mice going to feel the advantage of about 10 lap fresher tires for this 97.
Mice taking a set, Justin Johnson taking a set, as well as Watts, Gruel. And I believe James DeBow is also going to be taking a set for themselves, as they were all taking a wave around and we're banking on that caution to come out. So we're going to have about 5 drivers that were hoping for a caution to come out, gifted by our leaders getting involved with contact on the straightaway. And now if you're Dan Francesco, watching Sky, Swan, Fahey, you're questioning this whole run now of what do we do? Because you're trapped with one set left of tires, and there's still one more pit stop left in this race before this thing's done.
That's exactly right. Yeah, this has changed the whole outlook of this race when it comes to the strategy. So, yeah, I'm not surprised to see a lot of them stayed out here during this. But, you know, even to have the fuel is probably going to be nice for the balance. So, we'll see how this works out. Don Francesco going to have the lead, but the likes of Austin Mice, Justin Johnson in the background here, and, you know, Caden Watts, I think Gruel, Booth. There's going to be some guys out here on fresher tires that are going to be looking to utilize those to get quickly to the lead and try to get away. This could be very much a race-deciding scenario here for these guys, how this strategy plays out. But let's see who plays it the strongest. You look at Drew Blaze. He's going to be back in, I believe, in the 8th position after that's all said and done with that wreck. And even Fahey still in 4th. I think he stayed out.
Yeah, staying out was our top 4. Fahey's probably the more unique one due to the fact that he was sliding around. But I'm curious if we can bring up our race report real quick before we go green. We'll see if our graphics work because we've been having technical issues. We've had 2 cautions so far. If you're just joining us, 12 lead changes, and it has been a lot of back and forth racing, and it's about to get even crazier. Your top 4 on old tires, rest of the field, some took tires, some didn't. It's 9th on back that do have the freshies. Everyone else topped off or didn't even pit. And watch it, Scott going for a ride is the 5. A little bit of wheel spin for himself as they took off into turn number 1. But the 24 of Nicholas Dan Francesco recognizing the play that he's in. You gotta go now, as Mike Fahey is well understanding. You gotta get all this positioning before you get ran down by Justin X Johnson or even Austin Mice back in those further back positions, as those drivers have the fresher tires.
They do, Sam. This is... Oh, the watchers see the 45 slide past there. Fahey up to second. Now Drew Blaze looking to fly on through onto the inside. These two were just spinning down the front stretch, and they are back in position already up into the top 5. But you can see there's a Justin Johnson tin machine in the background. He is going to be coming with fresh tires. Look for him to make some big moves.
That white, blue, and black detailed machine, that is the X number 10 of Justin X Johnson. He is the driver that's got the freshest of rubber so far. Furthest up is in 7th place, but he's got a wall of drivers stuck behind him. Top 4 in line, but it's Mike Fahey recognizing the play that he is in and trying to pass for the lead position, hoping not to have deja vu that brought out our 2nd caution of the day. But the 45 looks quick. He's looking for redemption and bouncing to the outside is Fahey, blocking it. Thought for a second was Nicholas Dan Francesco, but he backs out. It's the 45 with the bigger run, and Fahey, his nose to the point. And now your newest driver back in 8th place, Austin Mice, is the driver with the freshest of rubber. We'll see if he's going to continue to run patient, because it looks like those guys that just got freshies, Zach, they're waiting for the long game. They don't want to waste all their rubber just yet.
Like that call, yeah, just stay in the fight here. Don't utilize the rubber yet. Kind of let it come to you as this run goes, and you should have some great long run paces. These guys start to fall off ahead of you that have the older tires, and especially as the tires come to heat more, those older tires will start to show their age compared to the new ones. So let's see how it works out. But yeah, Fahey up front did a great job, went around the outside of Don Francesco. He's going to have the lead for the first time tonight. What does Drew Blaze also do is he's got Swan kind of coming in the background to put pressure on him. So a lot of new scenarios opening up here as we hit lap 100 here. So it'll be 75 to go next time by.
See a little bit of movement in the middle of our top 13 drivers, as all of them are within a little bit of distance to fight, but primarily it's the battling from 6th back to 10th that's keeping it close between a group of drivers. That's Reich in the 21 Red Bull machine. Then you've also going to have the 97 Mice, the white machine. That's the X of Justin Johnson in Paul Boomershine. All going back and forth, and behind them as well will be Jacob D. Booth, which, you know, talking about all these cautions and how maybe they were helping some of the field get back into the mix. I got to say, Jacob D. Booth, one of those drivers that really lucked back into this fight. he had that blown tire that really forced him to lose all the time that he was hoping for, and now he's back into the mix. But talking about back in the mix, we got to go back up front because Mike Fakey, Dan Francesco, they're back at it again for another round of the duels between the 45 and the 24.
Allen never stops with these two up front. These guys going back and forth at it, and it's been great to watch for us up here. But what is it doing to the tires? That's the huge question for these two as they go back and forth for this lead position, as Drew Blaze kind of sits there in that third spot and just lurks in the background. That's the one I would be very much worried, especially about on the same strategy that you are, because I think those guys on the newer tires, they're of course going to have their advantage also as this run goes farther.
Get back in line, working with one another. Going to be the 45 and Mike Fahey, Dan Francesco in the 24. Big run in the center of 3 and 4, but just not able to really utilize that exit speed as he has to back out. Otherwise, he'll run into the inside quarter panel of the 45, and that's where we're really seeing the difference. It looks like for Mike Fahey, he's just letting that car slowly drift to the outer groove, while the 24 kind of forcing the issue. And Zach, that's making me concerned for these tires for the 24 just a little bit more than the 45.
Definitely could be hurting those tires for sure. Oh man, that was close there between Watch and Sky and the 88 of Swan, as you see right there, the 5 all over the back bumper. A little bit loose for Swan, as now Mice looking to go around the outside of both of them and try to take advantage of a little bit fresher tires here for him. We'll see if he's able to get the job done as they head down the 1 and 2, as Swan just trying to fight here to hold back on the bottom.
Swan's just getting swamped, seeing competition drive to the outside, the inside, getting tapped on 5. And honestly, it's one of those, oh no, it's Johnson! Big slide for the 10, huge save for himself, and a big loss of time, as that is the second time here tonight that we've seen Justin Johnson go for a slide off the exit turn number 2, but another fantastic save for himself. But Zach, this is one of those moments where the contact between Swan as well for Watch and Sky. If we were in any other current NASCAR vehicle, we were going to be seeing Swan get turned around with arrow griefing that we like to call it. I mean, luckily we're in the Gen 6 car where you can get a little bit of a tap and the driver in front of you can hold on.
Definitely, yeah. These cars will take a hit and that close encounter with the nose to the rear end much better than our counterparts of the next gen car of the current Cup Series car. So definitely cool to see that you can get close without wrecking somebody in these things, and even sometimes make a little contact. So as we ride back here and with James Dubose in the 55 machine, looks like he's got Paul Olson, I believe that is the car right ahead of him actually. Or no, sorry, that is the lap down car. Or the 12th place car, Arcade Watts, is Dubose's lap down, of course. But we're right on board here, watching how he's making his way around the Homestead-Miami Speedway.
James DeBose, part of the drivers that pitted a little bit later. And that's why he had to go get trapped 1 lap down. And with the multiple drivers 1 lap down, he wasn't gifted the lucky dog position under our second caution of the day. But he is the first driver 1 lap down. So as long as he's not involved with the wreck and he can get a caution, he'll be the driver that gets the lucky dog and get back into the fight for a chance of a top 10 battle as Caden Watts and DeBose continue on their back and forth. But ahead of them, into the outside wall, scraping it for a quick second, was the 21 machine. That's Corbin Reich, and as well Johnson going back and forth as the 10 able to clear his way into that position, and Johnson trying to run down the rest of the competition that he just lost all that time to with that giant slide a few laps ago.
Definitely trying to make up for that slide as Johnson is up ahead of him. Swan still fighting with the 19 of Jacob Booth. He also got Paul Boomershine right here at 8th, and what do you know, he's going to be in the late in the going, trying to fight his way toward the top 5 finish possibly. It's 92 doing the things he's classically done this season.
I mean, Paul Boomershine, I think if there was stage racing in this Lonestar NASCAR High Racing Series, the 92 would be a major threat to watch out for, because the first stint, he gains so much info that he just compiles on all of the other racing instincts that he kicks in later on in a race to place himself for these better finishes. 7, I mean, 8th place, trying to take 7th away. Love what I'm seeing from the 92 as he continues to try to stay out of trouble, as with everyone being in line and kind of trying to save their tires, it's allowed the 10 to get back up into the fight. And now at the end of this train that's happening from 1st all the way back to 9th position.
Again, kind of similar to what we saw the first run, around like the lap 25, the 30 mark of the run, everybody kind of stacking up into that group, and we are 15 laps into this run this time. So we'll see how these drivers match up and make things happen. You can see there, Austin Mice was on the front straightaway there. He was going around the outside, and yes, he's up to third around Drew Blaze, and that's important for this 97. If he can go out here and get a victory tonight, that will be critical for scoring some great points, especially with Clary finishing, it looks like, going to be almost all the way back in the 15th position unless we have some drivers get back out on the racetrack possibly.
I'm loving what I'm seeing for Mice. He's just taking it as approaches. He's let this race come to a point where those tires have overheated. Maybe you were pushing a little bit too far to get to the lead's position, and now he's just taking the outside, takes position here, takes position there, and now slowly trying to position himself to take the top spot at first place over Mike Fahey. And the only thing that I'm a little bit concerned about for Mice is that he's making all these passes on the outside. Yes, he's making them quick and efficiently, but are you wanting to use those tires here this late in the stage where he is 17 laps on this set of tires?
That's very true, Sam. Yeah, going around the top usually is going to utilize a little bit more tire to usually do that. So it can be a strain on him, but I like that he kind of has, eased these tires in, because a 10-lap advantage on the tires here at Homestead is a huge advantage. I mean, he could have really blown past everybody and really pushed very, very hard early into the run, but he was running about a half a second to 6/10 off of what, even his fastest time of the day is, and that's not even nowhere near what the fastest time of the day has been. So Austin was very methodical, and I think now he's gotten, that green light in his mind of where, okay, these guys are starting to feel a little bit of the tire wear. Maybe now it's my opportunity to go get something, get out here and try to break this draft and drive away. I think that might be the mindset. We'll see if it comes back to bite him, but I tell you what, he's done a great job tonight managing his stuff, so I think this is a good opportunity.
Certainly has. Look at some of the races that Austin Mice has won at. He won the very first one of the season at Auto Club, and then he won the duel between the 24 and the 97 that happened at Dover. That most likely could have been a Mike Fahey victory if Mike Fahey wasn't caught up with a lap traffic contact with 40 laps to go. But honestly, we've seen Austin Mice even at these tracks where it comes down to tire saving and having good long run pace. He is up there, the 97, even with this call to maybe not take a set immediately like everyone else when that first caution came out. Got the lucky time into the second caution, being just 10 laps later, really worked out for the 97's advantage, and that's part of racing. It's not all skill at the end of the day. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck to find yourself in these positions. The 97 has done just that, but with how strong we've seen Drew Blaze be in the late stages of this race, you really can't call out the 88 nor the 5 really out of this race just yet.
You really can't. I mean, that 88 so fast in the long run, same for the 5, those two. Once everything gets evened out, we get to a green flag stop possibly, that's where they can have their fight back. I think right now they just got to make sure that 97 doesn't get too big of a gap to where it's too hard to make up. And I think the good sign for them is now that 97 has gotten to second, he's kind of got stuck with Mike Fahey. He hadn't been able to get easily around him, and that's allowed them to stay very, very close here. And I think the longer they stay close, the better opportunity they have with this tire delta to stay within that gap when we come to pit road.
60 laps to go, and this could be the window for some drivers of when do you want to pit. The mind games start to shuffle. Do you want to be the first driver to pit? Do you want to be the one that pits in the middle, or the one that waits until the very last moment as Mice goes for an attempt to the inside? Fahey holds strong for now, but the 97 watches the 45 drift high and will be side by side, and the 97 will lead that lap. Austin Mice, big diving move, trying to get full clearance. Fahey does not want to give up this lead or the clean air just yet, but is this fight too much? Was it better to let the 97 go and then defend for second position? Because Mice is clear, but Fahey's not done.
I like that job by Mice there. Don't defend the bottom and allow them to get back to the outside. Now that you've had your opportunity to get the run, you should be able to clear this 45. And he does a good job there through 3 and 4, clears the 45 with a great run. He's going to set his sights on this clean air and try to manage this gap now as Fahey drives it off into one there. But I think with that 97 closing the door like that, it's going to be tough to keep the run off the corner. As there again, the 97, great run off of 2.
Great run off the exit of the corner, and you're just seeing Mike Fahey really ripping the top, letting that car drift out while the rest of the competition around him, everyone's trying to just hug that white line as long as possible. I mean, Zach, is there really an advantage to trying to stay as low as you can throughout the whole entire corner, or letting the cars drift out off the exit?
I always was, especially in this car too, Sam, I was always a huge fan of a very low exit here, because when you keep that car kind of low, you kind of are able to have room on the exit to straighten the wheel out to let the car go out to the exit instead of, letting that car just drift out towards the wall because of the force. It's more, you're just kind of using it to go down the straightaway, and it usually helps manage the tires very well. So I've always liked a very late exit, especially in this Gen 6 car where it's all about having a very straight exit down the straightaway with these, these older stock cars.
Laps continue to tick away. Again, the question of when do you make your pit stop? Everyone is good to get to at least one stop from here. As Fahey, big slide. He was trying to follow in suit, but once again, just caught in the middle. He has to run either all the way up to the top or all the way to the bottom. He is not good with that middle seam. And it just seems like he always snaps loose, especially off the exit of turn 2. Very similar to a Justin Johnson moment is better watch out. It's Watching Sky looking for an opportunity to get by the 45.
At 5, looking for any chance to get the move done. Fahey packs it in there to turn number 1, but I think going to lose the nose through the center as the 5 really back the corner up. Should be able to pull up alongside, but will the 45 have the run off the corner? Yes, he will, because that top side, just too much momentum for him, as he'll have an opportunity to look to the inside of the 88, but Blaze going to drive it in there deep enough as now the 5 just going to send it in there and get to the right rear quarter panel. And man, Watching Sky, great job there getting that done, and now he's going to be in the power position on the outside.
Just putting the 45 in his weakest point. He has not looked comfortable having to exit as low as he was right there, especially off the exit of turn number 4, and it assists Watching Sky to have a nose ahead. And if you're Mike Fahey, the way that he has just been diving into these corners for the last 15 laps, it's a sense to me this 45 is willing to just burn off every piece of rubber on this stint. He is going to be one of the first drivers that hits pit road. The question is when and which position is he finally going to just give up and say, I have to pit now? Or is it a certain lap he's looking for?
It's going to be the huge question here. It's, I'm trying to think about what lap I would come down for these guys, but it's definitely getting into the window of that. When you get to lap 125 here, you're going to be within 50 laps of this end of this race. We saw earlier they were going about 58 laps, so it's definitely in that window.
The contact. Watching Sky takes the biggest blow to the inside. He'll hold on to it, but loses over 2 positions. Big sliding move by both. And it's Fahey that gives all the action, but loses out is Greg Watching Sky. You gotta have a heartbreaking moment there for the 5, who did everything right, but just got one tap and it threw all the run away.
That was huge moment there for the 45, who slid across the nose of the 5 there, and then the 5 is going to go to the inside. The 45 makes the contact to the door to the 5, and he's got to gather it up down that back straightaway, and it is bumpy on that apron down there below that white line. So for Watching Sky to hold on to it, that was a great job, as we've seen a few guys have some great saves on the back straightaway.
Jacob D. Booth currently running in 5th place, trying to grab his 3rd top 5 this season. He's got 2 top 5 top 10 so far. And talking about the 19, tire blew up after running 51 laps. He is now in the 50 range, where he could think about making a pit stop if he would like to after doing his full-length run. But it looks like for Jacob D. Booth, he wants to put a block to the outside, and with that move, he just lost all control, had to fight to save the car, and loses position to Watching Sky, who goes low, but not enough space to really go for the dive bomb move. Watching Sky has to back out of it, and it's the battling for second on back, because Austin Mice 1.3 seconds ahead. And that is the gap that you want to have when pit stops happen, because that is plenty of time to give up at least 2, maybe 3 laps, and you'll be close enough still to fight for the win. But Wow, that was a close one for watching Sky and Booth.
The 5 trying to fight back after that contact and slide backwards. He was trying his best to get that job done, but had to back out of there because that would have been probably a wreck if he didn't. So great job by Greg there to heads up move to back out of that car there. But right here is still all the play for. As you see, Blaze has not been able to get away from Fahey, not able to get away from Don Francesco. Same for Booth. I mean, this is definitely spelling signs that these guys are going to be right here in the mix, and Mice just continue to be a little bit quicker lap after lap to open up that gap.
And if you're wondering on what's the tire situation, all these drivers pitted about 33 laps ago for fuel. A lot of these groupings, except for 2, all pitted 43 laps ago for tires. 33 laps ago, Mice, as well as Jacob D. Booth, pitted for 4 freshies. They both have at least 1 set left in their back pocket. We'll see if they're going to be feeling comfortable here with this upcoming stop, as the rest of the field, they're in an awkward position of, yes, they've got 1 more set in their back pockets, but when do you want to use that final set is the ultimate question. Is it when it's 30 to go, 40 to go, 25 to go in this race? Because you need at least enough time if you're one of those drivers that is going to run down the rest of those that pit sooner. You got to find the window when you can catch up and pass the drivers you have to catch up to.
It's always tough to find that window for sure, and we'll see how they attack it here, especially with the pit stops looming. But right now, watch this guy back to the inside of the 19 of Booth, down into 1, and Booth had to check up there as the 24 was back in the corner up, coming down the track, and now this stacks him up as Don Francesco, little loose off of 2. Watch this guy also lose. This is some great racing we got going here, as even Fahey was looking to the inside of Blaze up ahead. All around the top 5 here, we got battles going on.
And Jacob D. Booth trying to utilize what he has underneath them, just a little bit of extra tires. And what's hurting him is he's accelerating in the center of the corner while everyone else is still letting their car roll. And that's what's hurting the 19's exit every single time. And especially with the 24, he's got a slow entry, slow center, but he's got a quick exit out on the exit of these corners. But 3 wide's exactly where you want to be if you're Jacob D. Booth. You can take the advantage as long as you don't squeeze together. And the 19, the 5, get clear of going to be Dan Francesco. And those are the moments you don't want to have too many times. And now for Jacob D. Booth, eyes ahead. Try not to think about the 5 that's next to your quarter panel and get by the 45 and the 88 as quick as possible.
I'll tell you what, Booth looking very, very strong here. He's in a position to have an opportunity to fight Fahey here if something happens. So this has been excellent battling going around, but watching this guy again, just so strong right now. I think he's going to be tough to hold back for this year, because he's coming up the inside of the 19 and is just not going to have the draft down this back straightaway to hold on for the time being, but he'll fight back to the inside. And let's see how this goes again, because we saw Fahey and the 5 have a great battle before. How is it going to shape up here?
Everyone squeezing together. This is second all the way back to 6th place that's in this pack. As Mice, he's now 2.2 seconds ahead and pulling away from the pack that continues to give us all the action here tonight. Few drivers in the very back of the field now heading into pit road to get their final pit stops in for tonight. Paul Olson, as well as going to be Watts, getting their pit stops. Got to get back out on track with 45 laps to go here tonight. While this grouping still searching for where you're most comfortable to make some passes, but Fahey is the one that's working the bottom. But the middle groove, I'm still keeping an eye on Jacob D. Booth. There's a big slide by Fahey and he'll lose the position to Blaze.
What a slide there, like you said. And man, he had a few of them tonight, but gathers it up once again, and now he'll see if he can hold off the 19 as he's got a good drive through the center. Should clear the 19 of Booth again to hold on for the time being. But I tell you, Drew Blaze is just having struggles right now with that race car. I'm wondering if maybe that contact to the inside wall might have done a little bit more damage than we can see visually from our replay.
I mean, also just the fact that he's one of the drivers that topped off on fuel, you know, having that little bit of extra weight maybe could be affecting this car a little bit more than he was expecting than the rest of the field on how they're dealing with their tires. This is certainly a one of Blaze. I wonder if also for Blaze, he was fighting a lot more during that run compared to the first stint where he was okay with just following behind, saving the tires for that final 30-lap run. He has been aggressive since the start. and that might be the reason why everyone's able to still keep up with the 88, just because everyone's using their tires as much as possible at this moment.
You're exactly right, Sam. That could definitely play a factor, and also that fuel imbalance and just having a little bit of fuel on older tires can really make a difference. And he looks just so loose that I would not be surprised if that's the issue with this. Austin Mice is loving life out front. He has opened up about a 2.5-second gap, and he is just continuing to grow it lap after lap with these guys racing side by side. And Fahey is going to try everything in his power to pass. He's going to clear here. He's going to slide up. Now the 88's got a big run, but he's going to put it in the outside wall a little bit with the 45 coming up on the track. And right now, Blaze floundering backwards.
And the 88, one of the favorites, now starting to go in the wrong direction as Jacob D. Booth now will be attempting to get moving up into 4th place as Watching Sky Fahey clear and go for the both of them as Blaze not giving up. The draft pulls them back in line and getting really close, but that outside groove, how much can this 88 really handle? Or will he be one of the first drivers of our top 5 to hit pit road before this race is over? Still, majority of the field needs to stop. Our top 12 all need to make one more stop before this race is over. And for some of these drivers, they're within 10 laps to when they are forced to pit road. The question is, how much do you want to just continue to linger out? Or are you willing to pit early to try to build a gap to force everyone to catch you?
That is the huge question to ask yourself, Sam. I'm thinking right here that, these guys right now looking at this run, if you're Austin Mice, you've been out there 43 laps to this point. If you pit this, this latest time, this next time by, it's less laps than you've already ran. So we're under the 40 to go marker, and I think that could be a huge factor when these guys pit. But I mean, also if you're pulling a gap like that, I think you kind of just play it out where right here, run until your competition pits if you're Austin Mice and continue to gap as much as you can. But as soon as they pit, you need to be coming in with 1 or 2 laps so that gap doesn't get shrunken to where you're racing them once again.
Yeah, but I mean, with having a 3-second gap lead, this puts Mice in a spot where he can absolutely give at least 2 laps away, maybe even 3. And with that advantage, he can do the same stint that he just did of linger, wait, and watch the competition burn off their tires. And then that's when you strike late in the run. You might be seeing your competition a little bit more aggressive than most, but your time to head into pit road. And here's a couple of drivers heading into pit road. It's going to be Jacob D. Booth, one of the first drivers. That is a shocker. I did not expect the 19 to be one of the first drivers in our top 5 to hit pit road. I thought he was going to be one of the later ones as well. Joining him, going to be Nicholas DiFrancesco, getting service done for the 24 as Fahey, Watching Sky, Blaze continue racing on, but Watching Sky, where are you going? And into pit road, Nicholas DiFrancesco, a terrible pit entry. He had to back up for the 24. That could be a major loss of time as the 19 is about to be leaving his pit box, but our rest of our top 4 heading into pit road is going to be Mike Fahey now in the 45.
Fahey electing to come down from 2nd place, and I think, like you said, Sam, if you're Mice out front, right here, 3 to 4 laps is your window of coming down, because you can definitely have that advantage, so to say, when you come here. So I think he should, if anything, stretch this out a little bit, just because he's got this advantage here to have, again, more tire advantage to end this race. But definitely got to be clean when you're coming to your box here. No mistakes from these drivers. I think that's going to be the critical thing, is he's coming down this time. He wants the gap from out front.
I mean, I don't know if this is the right call if you're Mice. I mean, yes, you're curious about the drivers behind you. Blaze now heading into pit road to get service done. Following also behind going to be Justin X. Johnson. I feel like if you're Mice, you had such an advantage on the rest of your competition. You're now giving the rest of the field a 35-lap chance to run you down with better tires. Yes, they're going to have a pretty big gap, but that advantage on tires is a big one to have late in this race. Watching Sky could be one of those drivers to really watch out for late in this run.
I think another thing to factor into that too is you got to have a different mentality, I think, for this run than we've seen all night long, because really we've seen about 45, 50 lap runs to even almost 60 lap runs from majority of this field here tonight. Like you said, this is going to be about a 35 lapper here to the end. You can go out there and kind of unleash the car a little bit better with 35 laps. But I tell you what also, Sam, he has lost a ton of time off the exit of pit road. Blaze just gained everything on exit there. during the exit road, and I tell you what, this is going to be a battle on our hands because Mice lost a ton of time through all the sequence.
That's been the issue of a lot of this competition. Blaze has just been the faster driver when it comes to pit road, and that's where he gains a lot of time. Is Blaze. Mice, on the other hand, all of that time, it is gone. It is blown up. Your 3-second gap that you had with a 10-lap advantage on your tires is disappeared to nothing. Your competition is back on your back bumper, and now they're just a lap or two behind you, or they even got the advantage on tires. This is a miserable spot if you're the 97 when you thought maybe you had the greatest advantage right before pit stop started.
You know, I think definitely he wanted to be conservative coming to pit road to make no mistakes, but I think that was just way too conservative from his team there on that call, because that is just going to be a huge loss in my opinion. It really wasn't even like the pit lane time or the pit box time. He actually had decent splits there. It was really just getting into pit road and, more importantly, getting off of pit road. He just did not get going out of his box, and it really bit him hard. And, you know, I will say he did have the, you know, the pole position, so that means he had the first box in the stall. That is actually the worst box to have when you put the green flag stops, because the other drivers are already rolling up the 60, you know, up the pit road speed when they get to the line, where you're speeding fully up, trying to put the power down as you exit. So it makes a huge issue for you when the green flag stops. It's an advantage under yellow, but a huge disadvantage under green.
And again, if you weren't here at the very start of this race, we saw drivers max out, put down fast lap after fast lap, and within 15 laps, they went from leading the race back to 10th position. You can throw away your race in the first 5 to 10 laps of a stint. And right now, we're watching Austin Mice, Fahey, also Jacob D. Booth. They are in full takeoff and goat, while Drew Blaze, on the other hand, he's in full conservative mode. He understands these guys are going to race for everything here, and Blaze just needs 15 good final laps. He'll be caught up and potentially passing these guys.
This is put into the scenario where it's played right back into the hands of a few of these guys I thought had no chance of racing also Mice at the end of this race, but Blaze definitely saving a ton here. We'll see if he comes back up.
And then also the question of what does the rest of the competition look like on their tires. Update on Greg Watchinski. He's back in 6th position, 5.5 seconds back. Lap time wise, he's running slower than our leader of Mike Fahey, and is running also slower than much faster, than Drew Blaze. Zach, I'm looking at Drew Blaze's times. Our front runners are all running 34.6 seconds, 34.2 second lap times. He ran a 35.2. That's a full second slower than Fahey. Blaze is really thinking mind games, or he really messed up on his fuel.
He is, yeah, he's definitely in a scenario where he has got something going on. Definitely either full-blown pacing himself to think that he could catch back up, or what, because this is definitely a huge loss of time. I mean, to lose almost a full second in lap time is more than saving, in my opinion. So he's either got fuel issues or something he thinks going to play out here, but those top 3 up front definitely opening up the gap, so to say, because he's now about 4 seconds.
Just was watching Blaze's telemetry. It looked like there is no clutching involved, so I think he might be just saving. He's running extremely low all the way to that white line. This is just signs of he's just conserving, saving. He's not pushing it. He's just letting the race come to him. So this is Blaze thinking, okay, we got a 30-lap sprint, but I'm not going to give up everything immediately. I'm saving it up for that final half of the dash instead of the first half.
You know, very well could be that way. And I mean, if he does, you know, give up this much, he's going to have to really push hard, though, at some point, because I just don't see it, you know, this being a long enough run to where you can just kind of pick up that time slowly. I think you're going to have to really make a big charge here at some point, and that just concerns me for overheating the tires when you start to make that charge. So we'll see how it works out. But again, 4.5 seconds, it's growing almost up to 5. Again, that just concerns me for how you're going to be able to manage this race.
And then behind Blaze, the battle for 5th is Greg Watchinski, Nicholas DeFrancesco, having their own duels back and forth between them. The 5 going to be making the pass, and of our top 5, the freshest of tires is on the 5 machine, Watch and Sky, but he's 5.5 seconds back from our leader. So a lot of 5s lining up for Watch and Sky. But are the numbers lining up for him to run down our leaders? 26 laps to go. And looking at the lap times, they're not closing in on our leaders at all, running almost identical. Is this battling for 5th and 6th place compared to our leader that really isn't being challenged at this moment by Austin Mice?
That's for sure. And this group is putting on a great show. As Watching Sky is going to look to go around this group, run down that 88 of Blaze, and he's not far behind Drew Blaze. So this 5, reeling him in, we could have a battle for that 4th spot very, very quickly. But this is all shaped up to very much, I think, just the top 3 involved in this, and if anything, just the top 2, unless Jacob Booth feels like he can really make this gap back up with some tire saving. I think it's just going to be a tough situation because he's got a little bit older tires than everybody.
See the difference between the 88 and the 5 machine, between 4th and 5th position. A little bit under around a second is the difference between those two. As they continue to race on, our battle for the lead within 3 car lengths of one another is Austin Mice to Mike Fahey. Again, tire difference is just 1 lap between the 45 and the 97. Advantage goes to Mice in the 97. But Zach, what a run you could call for Mike Fahey, who immediately had the big slide, then had to recover from multiple big slides out of 2. Had the charm and the luck of having these cautions to line up to get him back into the racing action. It's just been pure speed, though. That's allowed Mike Fahey to be in the position he's in right now.
That's for sure. He has been outright just fast. I mean, he really was able to do a good job in this pit sequence, too, to make sure that he was closed in on that gap. I mean, it was 3 seconds to the nearest driver of Mike Fahey from Austin Mice, and only 1 lap difference made that whole gap up. So that was a great job by him, just really making the most of everything to be in this fight. And now it's put it in Austin Mice's wheelhouse of, can he get back around Fahey? I kind of still like what his 97 is, because if anything, you just manage here right behind this 45, let him kind of tow you around, so to say, with the draft, and see what you have here coming down to the end. And if anything, at least ahead of that 88. I think that's got to be your goal when you're racing him for the championship.
Where will they be finalized at the end of this race? We're closing in on 20 laps to go. I want to bring up our final weather and race report if you're just joining us. Let's first do the weather conditions, because that's been the fun joy of the back and forth of tonight. We start off with the ambient air temp being 85 degrees Fahrenheit. We stayed there. The track temp has arisen, though. It was started off at 131 degrees Fahrenheit, dropped down to, I believe, less than 130 at one moment in time. But as this race has progressed, it is lifted back up into the stratosphere, with us being up to 130, 135 Fahrenheit. I mean, it has been warm today out on there on track, and that's why we've seen a lot of the speed difference change as well. But if you're just joining us here in the final 20 laps of this race, this has been an up and down one of multiple cautions being thrown, lots of lead changes. But Zach, it is Mike Fahey, Austin Mice within 0.3 of one another coming to the end of this race.
That it is. These two are going to be, I think, on top of one another all the way to the end. As you see Fahey there, kind of tight off the exit, but just kind of maybe even a little bit different line. Sometimes people like to fade up there, getting that higher banking for that earlier exit. So this is going to be quite the interesting battle. And I was kind of worried there for a little bit, because I noticed Drew Blaze was about 1/10, to 2/10 quicker than this group here for a little bit, but it's kind of stabilized out a little bit. It's been anywhere from 0.5 to pretty much even time. So for Blaze back there in the background, about 4.2 back, he's catching up to Booth now. He's still got a long way to go to catch up to these guys, and not that much time, as they're going to be coming here, of course, to 18 to go.
As we'll drop the weather, and looking at these guys and the way that they're racing back and forth, another driver I'm keeping in mind is the fact of the 5 of Greg Watchin's. I'm looking at the lap times. He's looking quick as well. As here's your race report. 2 cautions so far. seeing ourselves with 8 different leaders, 19 lead changes. I think that was probably the most fun on the restarts, is seeing all the lead changes of everything going back and forth between drivers, but a lot of green flag racing, which is exactly what the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing series is always looking for. I know the first caution of the day, the Joseph Augusta and Jordan Maddox caution, the egregious one that you didn't want to see, but man, did that caution just brew up this finish and the way that we got to this point.
It definitely did brew this finish, because I felt like at that point before that, Drew Blaze was in such a good point to win this race. But now he's on the back foot. He's 4 seconds back. He's in third. He has got around Jacob Booth. But will we see another lead change added to the total there on the race report or not? That's going to be the question. Or will it be Austin Mice? Will it be Drew Blaze who does it? Or will Fahey hold these guys back? Because right now Fahey's doing a great job just of keeping this 97 right in tow, but not allowing him to get around.
16 laps to go for tonight's race here tonight. All the runnings, the back and forths, the chances to get into victory lane, and looking at the point standings, if Austin Mice can get this thing done, I mean, the closing of points would be the thing to watch out for with then 3 races left on the schedule. We got Bristol, Nashville Superspeedway before finishing off the season at a full-length Daytona 500. Zach, I mean, the opportunities are amounting that this thing at the halfway point was all Colin Clark. He had over a 35-point advantage over second place, but then he found himself getting caught up in wrecks and throwing the chances away, and it just closed everything in. And now it could be a 2-horse race between Mice, Blaze, but Boomershine is up to 9th. He's not fully giving up just yet on this championship.
That's for sure. Still a lot of contenders left to go, and I tell you who's not giving up on this race win. It is Austin Mice. He has been right on the tailpipes of this 45, and he's looking around the track. He's searching, trying to find clean air to find the way around. And if anything, this 97's got to be motivated, knowing if he can go ahead and get a win, that will be such a statement for the points, especially to come back after a tough race where he got, involved in an incident.
Starting to close in also on some lap traffic. It's going to be Caden Watts, who is on the last driver on the lead lap that they're closing it on. And I mean, if you're Austin Mice, if you've been listening into the broadcast, maybe being fed information, the biggest thing you could do right here, right now, is be on the back bumper of Mike Fahey. Put the pressure on the 45, because we've seen him overcook the rear end so many times here tonight. Zach, if it was a one-off, maybe we wouldn't expect it. But at this point, the pressure is starting to mount. Is the pressure going to float it to a point where Fahey slips up again off the exit turn 2? And that's what Mice has to do, is get right there on the back bumper and force the 45 to make the mistake.
He's going to have to definitely force the mistake, or will the mistake come up here in the final few moments for Fahey? Because it is a nerve-wracking position. You know that the driver behind you is going to have the draft, is going to have the advantage here, but you got to be able to position your car in the corners to take away his air, take away his downforce, and not allow him to get closer and be able to pull up alongside. Because if you can get alongside, that's where big things start to happen. For now, Fahey's done a great job in utilizing the air, and right now it's just these two, because it's 3 seconds back to the nearest car, Drew Blaze.
Mike Fahey only has ran 5 races this season. He's won 1, gotten 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, but it felt like for the 45, he's had top 5 speed every track that he shows up for. It just was bad luck after bad luck moment. Finally found his way into victory lane and was able to hoist the victory at Charlotte for one of the longest races of the season, when we ran 300 laps during that Charlotte race. But here tonight, to get his second win, it's so possible. But of course, it's Austin Mice, the driver that's always there. When you talk about consistency, this is the driver of note. Mice is right there, tied with Blaze on top 10 finishes with 9. He is trying to get his 10th here tonight, and as well, his 7th top 5. Could it be his 3rd win to tie with Blaze?
That would be what he wants more than anything, is to be able to get up here and get this win to allow the points. But if he does come out here second, and that's all he can come out of the night, I think that's still going to be a huge run for this 97 team, just to bring the points closer in than they were before coming in tonight. But oh, as he gets up closer to the wall, looks like he's having a tough time here as this run gets farther into it. The tires are starting to warm up the longer he runs behind this 45, and with 9 laps to go, Fahey in position to possibly get his second win of the season, or will Mice take his third?
Is it over for Blaze, though? Looking at that last lap, he was 2/10 faster than Fahey, 3/10 faster than Blaze, and he's 3 seconds back. If he starts to get a little bit of an inkling of the draft that can pull him along on the straightaways, he's Blaze's race fully done as he's 3 seconds back and watching the leaders and hoping to see them battle a little bit more. But Fahey, that gap has grown to 4/10, and that is not what you need if you're Blaze.
Oh man, this is it just really gonna probably run out of time, I think, for Blaze. He's got the speed, but I just don't think he'll have the time to get to these guys here in 6 laps. But Fahey, again, doing a great job here, a little bit quicker than Mice these last few laps. He's been able to continue to open up the gap, and again, off of 4, better run for the 45 team. That's an excellent job. Whenever you see that gap grow in this car off the exit, you know you're doing a great job because you're pulling away while in the draft.
7 laps to go, and maybe the hopes of the 7 machine of Colin Clary are up in smokes. Another night of disappointment. Again, we do not have a report on what happened to Colin Clary, on why he just randomly pulled off. We hope everything is going well for that 7 team, as up front, Mike Fahey is trying to grab another win. It could be his 2nd of the season, and what a charge it's been, and speed of question. I think, honestly, Fahey is the biggest what if of the season, because the 45 has been so fast everywhere we go. I think if he was here each and every week, we could be talking about 5 cars running for this championship. And the points being even closer than they are coming into tonight. I mean, it was a 7-point difference between Blaze and Clary, 12 points between Mice and Blaze. It was certainly a close battles all around. But 6, about to be 5 laps to go in the difference. It continues to grow for Fahey.
That's for sure. This gap continues to grow with 5 laps to go. And the biggest thing I think for Austin Mice here, you're starting to struggle a little bit right now, but you gotta stay ahead of that 88 here. With 5 laps to go, he's about 2/10 quicker than you. You got about a 1.5-second gap. If you can keep that 2/10 of a second delta, you will hold him off. It's just gonna be, can you keep that? Because the closer that True Blaze gets, the more he's gonna get the draft, the more he's gonna get pulled in there. So this could get interesting even for a second before this is all said and done. I think Mice starting to struggle almost up into the wall, is losing a lot of time.
A lot of time lost, but you do not want to give away a position. And so you got to remember, keep your head down and don't lose too much on the gap, as True Blaze is now less than 2 seconds away from the leader, less than 1.5 seconds to Mice. And it's not big enough, I think, not close enough for Blaze to take the win, as it's 4 laps to go, but still, Mice is within distance of, if he makes too many mistakes, Blaze could switch the positioning, and instead of closing in on the gap could expand, with Blaze finishing in 2nd. So all eyes ahead, but 3 laps to go for Mike Fahey, who I thought was the driver in the most concern. He was on the oldest set of tires. Yes, it was just 1 lap over Mice, 2 laps over Blaze, but the tire advantage has been so great all night long. Zach, I don't think anyone could have thought the driver with the oldest sets, the one that pitted the soonest of our top 5, was the one that was going to be in the biggest advantage here at the end.
That's for sure. I think all we're looking in circling the 97, maybe the 88 here, or the 5 to take advantage of this, run to the end. But it's been the 45 who's been the best. He's been excellent this whole entire run, and he is just going to need 2 more laps of excellence here if he wants to put himself in the 2nd time into victory lane this season.
2 laps, a half a lap to see the white flag, and there's a couple of drivers in the middle of the pack that are still battling for position. And so if you're Fahey, you're like, please do not bring out a caution. I do not need this. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it green. And let's look up to the flag stand as the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go. This race is official. The next one's the checkered. And with how big the gap is ballooned out to, Mike Fahey looks good to win over Austin Mice.
That he does. He's done a great job. He's opened up about a second gap, and down the back straightaway, he can feel all the emotions probably rolling in right now of the second victory of a season.
Another night proven that if Mike Fahey, even with all his troubles, with all his woes, if he can have a vehicle that finishes at the end of the day, he's got winning potential. Grab win number 2 for the 45 of Mike Fahey as he wins here at Homestead.
What a job from that 45 team. Austin Mice is going to come home second, and the 88 of Drew Blaze is going to bring it home in that third spot. So great job by everybody here tonight. What a race we had at Homestead.
What a wild one. I know Austin is not the most happy. He's even saying over the radio, felt like he might have overcooked those tires. And we felt like the 97 was in the advantage, but just not the case. Mike Fahey was the one that protected his tires and made it to the end in victory lane. Congratulations to Mike Fahey. Makes his grand return, missing out on the last couple of weeks, and finally gets back in victory lane for the second time this season. And seeing Blaze come over, give a little bit of a tap as Fahey gets ready to burn it down. And as he gets to have his fun, we will get ready to step away. Don't worry, the show isn't over just yet. We've got the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3, get you ready for next week at Bristol, and also get you ready for any future races we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back right after this to talk to our top 3, Mike Fahey, Austin Mice, and Drew Blaze, right after this.
And we are back here, folks, at the Lonestar Racing Gen 6 series. As what a night we had here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, as it was Mike Fahey bringing home the victory for second time this season for him, and what a statement to come back here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway and do that. So let's talk to our race winner, the 45 of Mike Fahey. Hey, Mike, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Doing great, man. Well, I tell you what, awesome victory here tonight. Second victory of the season. Take us through that one, man, because that was a hard-fought one there all the way down to the end.
Yeah, I thought we were done for. In the first lap, I got loose and was sideways, and then went to go for a lead pass halfway through and got in a wreck, and then ended up pitting and didn't know if I was going to catch back up to the leaders, and ended up just passing as many cars, wanted to go as hard as I could at the beginning of that second or the last pit stop, just to try to get clean air and get in front of everybody, and then just hold on to the clean air, and it paid off.
It definitely seemed to pay off pretty well there, Mike. I tell you what, man, you had a large gap to make up too, because we had the 97 out front, about 3 seconds up the road. You decided to pit, that one lap earlier than him. Were you surprised that what the gap was when you came back around once he pitted?
Yeah, I didn't know if he messed up in the pits or what happened, but I didn't think I was going to gain that much in just one lap of pitting earlier than him. But I guess it paid off, and we kept the tires underneath it enough to finish it off.
Definitely did a great job there, man. Well, I tell you what, congrats on the win here tonight at Homestead. We head to Bristol next week. How do you feel about heading to Bristol, the concrete bank track there?
Well, Homestead is my #1 most hated track, and I just got a win here for the first time, so I think anything's going to be better than this.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have to see how you do next week, because you ran amazing here tonight. It definitely was some ups and downs, but you ended up in victory lane, so congrats on that, Mike. Before we let you get out of here, though, anybody want to send a shout out to for your victory here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to start first and foremost with all my family members watching, my brother, my grandmother, my mom, everybody that watches and supports. I don't get to run every single Monday, but they come out every single time I do, and I couldn't do without them, and I don't think I would have the energy to do without them. And then obviously Lonestar Racing teammates. Been running with these guys for a number of years, and it would be boring as hell if it wasn't running with them. So Justin for putting on the league, you guys for broadcasting, everybody that came out to watch for sure.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. You have a great night, and congrats on your victory. All right, folks, that was your race winner here tonight, Mike Fahey. Second victory of the season, winner back at Charlotte, winner here tonight at Homestead. And you heard him. He said that he didn't like Homestead. It's his least favorite track. He gets the victory here. So maybe next week at Bristol, there'll be big signs for that team. But we'll move the second place man of the 97, Austin Mice. I think he had a tough night with how this all finished out. Let's hear from him after his second place finish. Hey, Austin, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, man, that was a tough way to end it there for you, but still a valiant effort tonight. Second place at the end of the day. How do you feel about that one coming home and the second place victory after the lead and coming down to the final stop?
Honestly, it's probably the most disappointed I've been in a P2 ever. I feel like I gave that one away. Nonetheless, it was a good run. We learned from the other cycles, and there, especially before our last pit stop. I mean, what do we have? 3 seconds, working on 4 seconds. Thought we were going to be in a great spot, and I should have pitted when Mike did, and I think we'd have been all right. But once I let him have that clean air, and I tried to stick right with him and just burn my stuff up. And everybody that knows me knows I take her easy, and I just didn't there in the end, fortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go next. My question also is, like, how tough is it in that position? You come out expecting probably to be in the clean air, in control. Then you're put in, in that position of being in the dirty air. How tough is it to, give up time to try to save, but also, you're racing for the win here late in the going. So it's kind of one of those things where you want to save, but you can't.
Yeah, it's really hard. Honestly, it takes a lot of discipline. I think it's what separates the good from the best. Having that discipline to know, hey, I got to give up that time, or else I'm not even going to have a chance. It's pretty hard to do, at least for me anyway. And it showed here tonight that I actually didn't bring that discipline when it counted. But Yeah, you see him there half a second, or I think we were even getting within 2/10, and we catch that draft, and I was just so eager to get around him. We've had so many slip away this year. I was just putting way more throttle in the corner than I have all night, and just let her slip away.
It's definitely a tough situation, but I tell you what, again, like I said, a very good run nonetheless with second here tonight. A good bounce back, and we head to Bristol next week. How do you feel about the short track there? We've seen you run really good at the intermediates. We've seen you have some good runs at the short tracks too. But how do you feel about Bristol?
Bristol, I don't know. I've only ran a handful of races there. I've honestly never done very good. I don't know. I just seem to have bad luck. Hopefully that changes. And we've had some things fall our way this year that typically don't at some tracks that I'm not good at. So maybe we get lucky again.
We'll definitely have to see how that plays out next week there at Bristol. But before we let you get out here, Austin, for your second place finish, anybody want to send a shout out to for that team?
Yeah, Demon Decals, DCS Underground, Skip and Sons Heating and Air, Show Me Restoration, Jeff over at McConey Setup Shop. Then, of course, you guys for being here, putting this on, letting us speak up and say our piece. And, of course, the admins for putting this on and everybody that streams. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but it really does matter when everybody streams in and watches and sees what we have going on. So thanks to everybody there. And finally, Dad was with me again tonight. We have yet to win one. A little plug there when he's with me. So hopefully we break that curse soon. But yeah, thanks to everybody joining.
Well, there you heard it, folks, from our second place finisher here, Austin Mice. You have a great night, buddy, and we'll catch you next week at Bristol.
You too. See you guys.
All right. Like I said, that was our second place finisher here tonight, as he had a chance to get it all done, but it just slipped away. And it's so easy to do that in the position he was put in. Just unfortunately, the timing of pit stops sometimes don't play out in your favor. But now we're going to move on to our third and final interview of the night. It's going to be the guy who was sometimes in position to win this race. Look like the car we've seen all season who's had the best long run speed, just couldn't put it all together near the end. Let's hear from Drew Blaze in the 88 team. Hey, Drew, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, man, you had a wild night, coming from, of course, the winner's EOL. You had to drive through the field at some points, before we get that first yellow. It's looking like it is, very much a situation where you're going to be the man to beat here tonight. And then as those cautions fell, strategy went certain ways. It just kind of all played out wild. Take us through your night, because I'm sure that was a lot to intake.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. I felt like I played it very well that first half of the race and before that our first caution there, and I don't know. I think I was like, okay, I can push a little harder on the second run, and just got caught up and between the dirty air and all that, it just we kind of really fell off. And I don't know. I feel like I played my cards right there at the end. I just didn't have enough time to get up there. I was definitely like catching Mike and Austin, and I just I mean, I'm not disappointed with third. I just I feel like if we could have stayed green, which is is kind of unrealistic, but if we would have stayed green, I feel like I probably would have ran away with it and been able to just kind of sit back and pace myself. But I got myself caught up in that second run and racing with everybody. So
definitely, we felt like you were the man to beat there for sure if it stayed green. Just the scenario how you played out that first half of the race, but like you said, second half played out a little bit differently. But coming down to that final green flag stop, I mean, what was kind of the biggest thing going through your mind? Because we've seen, like you said, the second run or the second half didn't go the greatest. So did you think kind of to go back to the heart, the more aggressive saving style there for that last run? Because like you said, you had the closing speed there, just not enough time.
yeah, I think saving definitely was the way to go. I mean, I could definitely tell the difference even in that little I mean, half a run we had there at the end. And yeah, it's a big difference in the tires and the speed. So I think I played it right. I just didn't have enough time to do what I wanted, and I got myself too far behind on that second to last stint. So it is what it is. But I'm happy for my teammate, and he went out there and won it, and yeah, not a bad night.
Definitely not a bad night, Drew. A great points night, in my opinion, for you here because we head to Bristol next week. We've seen, short tracks have been some of your best tracks here this season with the higher horsepower, low downforce package. How do you feel heading into the concrete track there, Bristol?
I love Bristol, man. I love the short tracks, and I tend to be pretty good at them. I don't know. We're just gonna try to be consistent and not get ourselves caught up in anything. It's definitely a small track, so it's gonna be easy to be able to get caught up racing people and racing too hard, and things happen and get out of control. So we just gotta, pace ourselves and just put ourselves in a good position for points.
No doubt it's going to be fun to watch next week. You guys take on Bristol, Drew. But before we let you get out of here and get prepared for Bristol next week, anybody wants to shout to on that 88 team?
Yeah, just all my guys here at Lonestar Racing. Couldn't do without these guys. All of our drivers who show up week in and week out, and the great group of guys we got. And thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast. You guys are awesome. And shout out to everybody watching.
Well, thank you very much, Drew. You have a great night, man, and we'll catch you next week out there at Bristol.
Appreciate it.
All right, there you heard from our third place driver, Drew Blaze, here tonight. What a drive for him. I mean, didn't get the victory like we thought at moments there it was going to be, but I will tell you this much. He definitely showed, again, he's that driver on the long run that if he can get it right, it's tough to beat. So we'll see how he closes out these final portions of the season, but he's going to be, I believe, very well in the points lead here once we go to Bristol next week, and we've seen the short track prowess. It's going to be fun to watch for sure. But as we go into our the rest of our post race show, I'm going to hand it back up to our main man here at Freaky Fast, Sam Dyer.
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a race where we didn't know what was going to happen. Those final 12 laps were kind of got the more of an absolute, and it was Mike Fahey that was able to branch away from Austin Mice to take the win. Mice will take second, Blaze third, so that means the gap is shrinking a little bit. It was 12 to being the difference between those two drivers entering tonight. It's going to be a little bit less heading into Bristol next week. Fourth place, got to give credit to the 5 of Greg Watchin's. He had a couple of big slides and able to come away with fourth. Fifth place goes to Jacob D. Booth in the 19. What a run for himself. Alan Swan, another top 10 for the 85. Paul Boomershine, this just wasn't the race for him. I don't think he really found his footing ever tonight, but he'll take a top 10. Nicholas DeFrancesco will fall down to 8th with Justin Johnson 9th. And finishing out top 10, it's the 21 Red Bull machine of Corbin Reich. But Zach, certainly a night that some other drivers probably wish he was a little bit better.
Definitely so. We had a very weird moment here tonight at some points with that yellow earlier in the race that changed the whole landscape of everything. Jordan Maddox, unfortunately, is going to come up 17th due to that incident. But I think the biggest thing we look at the board there, 16th place, Colin Clary. That is a huge hit for him. It finished 87 laps down. Unfortunately, he had to pull it in here, at some point during the race. We didn't, like we said, get any, kind of word of what happened. We're hoping everything, of course, is all good with Colin and everything all safe with him. But yeah, we're going to have to figure out what's going on there when we head to Bristol. But that is a huge loss for that team.
A major loss of points, a day that 7 just couldn't afford to have, with there being only 3 races left in the season. But 3 exhilarating tracks were exciting to go to, of Bristol, Nashville Superspeedway, and of course the final full-length race at Daytona for the Daytona 500. Usually the way that you start the season off, but here at the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, we're going to finish out the season there. But we're not done with all the racing action this week. We still have the 802 Next Gen Elite Series for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're excited for it. It's the official start of the season this Thursday, June 4th at Michigan. Don't want to miss out. Both Zach and myself will be on the call. We just finished up a 3-race preseason. We got to see Mike Kelly look like the favorite, but there were about 20 other drivers still waiting to make their debut at the official start in June. We got some knockout qualifying you don't want to miss out on. I'm excited for how Thursday's going to go down. But Zach, any final thoughts on tonight's race before we get ready for next week at Bristol?
First off, shout out to Mike Fahey. Great run. I mean, that was a valiant effort. Also, shout out to Austin Mice. Head up for that kid. I know that situation he was put in was tough to be in there, coming out right behind a car with only one lap, older tires, and kind of deciding what to do. But he's got definitely a bright future here with these final few races and still plenty of chance and opportunity. But I can't wait to see how this all plays out, Sam. I think we're going to have a great championship battle. I'm just really excited to see if we can go to Daytona and it all be on the line there with, a single digit in points. That would be kind of ideal because, man, that will make that 200 laps an eternity for these drivers just trying to make it through and survive that thing.
Oh, if it's within 10, I mean, with the amount of points you can dock from incident points, being involved with the big one, the bonus points of leading a lap, and all the other ways you can gain bonus points, that Daytona race is going to be the wild card of all wild cards of who will hoist the championship. Cannot wait for it. That will be the final race, June 22nd. We still got Bristol and Nashville Super Speedway before that. But for tonight, we want to say thank you for hanging out with us on your Monday evening, or if you're rewatching this, thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, if you were enjoying the show and you're enjoying the racing action, remember, hit that like button down below and share the stream. It helps us, part of the broadcast booth, and as well helps the league get more notified, get better drivers out there, see a bigger field. It's ways that we all help each other grow as a community. But for us here, Freaky Fast Broadcasting here tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for hanging out with us on your Monday night. We can't wait for next week. We go to the last great Coliseum of Bristol. Who survives? Who makes it out as the gladiator of all gladiators? We'll find out next Monday, but if you can't wait until then, we will see you Thursday, the start of a brand new season of the 802 Next Gen Elite Series, Michigan and the Irish Hills. Who's going to start out with the season on top? You'll have to find out this upcoming Thursday on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame, 'cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know.